live. I'm having one of those moments where I'm pretty sure I forgot something major I need tonight. I can't think of what it is. It's kind of driving me crazy. Let's see. Hold on. Let me refresh this. Make sure we've got audio and all that fun stuff. You go off and you go off. Yep. There is noise coming out. Okay. Let me mute all this stuff again. You guys have to listen to me. I sure don't want to. Let's see. We have better quality, it looks like, tonight. I'm able to go up to HD, which is an upgrade from what was it, when we did the critique? That was, I don't know what happened there. That, I'm wondering, yeah, I still don't know. I'll find out next time I do a live stream on the other computer if it was that or just crazy YouTube that night. So thank you for joining. Tonight I am starting a new graphite piece. You can kind of see. It's a girl. It's one I got from Bay. She's laying in the field. She's wearing a blue dress, although you won't see the blue in the graphite. I am tempted to do this again as the acrylic painting tutorial because I've had some requests for an acrylic portrait. This one may be a little complicated for that. Maybe I want to go more simple for that first lesson. But anyway, this one, she's laying in a field. So this whole background back in here is going to be out of focus. And then with her, in this I will not get to tonight. I won't be starting on her. She's wearing a top that has polka dots on it. It's going to be pretty time consuming, and then lace. So let's make it even more time consuming. This, for those of you on Patreon, will be most likely a 3-part video, and I know that not everybody is interested in graphite, so what I'll probably do is another beginner acrylic painting somewhere in between the process of finishing this. So my plan is 1 week will be the background, another week her clothes and probably her hair, and then the last week focusing on her face and the final details. It's the plan. I don't stay with my plans half the time anyway, so I'm really not, I'm not going to promise, but that's probably what's going to happen. Let me see here. Oh, thank you. Yes, hit record. Okay, recording now. I'm glad you mentioned that. Okay, so what I'm going to start with is a product called, and it's weird, I don't know what is going on with the graphite powder right now. I'm using Generals, can't find it anywhere, and I don't know if they're just not making it. Any graphite powder really should work the same. I have no idea why this is so hard to find, but it does, you can get other brands of this. I found some, and I think I linked that in the description. There are some brands of this, and it should all work the same. It's graphite powder. So what I am going to do is pour a little bit of it in the lid. I don't need a lot, and it's really powdery. Really, oh, geez, that wasn't redundant, but it's really fluffy. It can be very messy. I don't know if you can see that. I don't want to tilt it too much and have it go all over. There are a couple of ways that you can use to apply this to the paper. Now, what I'm doing is by adding this first, it's going to make it really easy for me to get a very soft background. And this stuff erases really well, more so than if you applied the graphite with a pencil. Now, I will be using pencil, going back through and cleaning stuff up, but by getting a base layer with this, it is going to speed up a lot. And this is a fairly large piece. I don't even have my roller here. I don't know how big it is. It's less than 16 by 20, bigger than 11 by 14. So, somewhere in there. I'm glad to hear that, Tamara. I'm already choking. Okay, so let's see. We've got a couple of ways that we can apply it. Like I said, one is to use a soft brush like this. Now, these aren't as effective as far as getting it really dark. These are mop brushes, or what it's listed as an oval mop. I'll show you a little bit of how that works. I'm going to dip some of that into my little container. And you can see I have a lot of fall off. I'm making a lot of mess with this. Using this, it smudges it. But see all these little, I don't know if you can see, I'm trying not to make a mess. There's little pieces of it going all over the place. So while I did used to use this one, I just found it to be very, very messy, and I don't use these brushes often anymore. So let's go ahead and put that off to the side. Try to clean this up. I'm trying to not have graphite powder everywhere. It's kind of like pastels, like chalk pastels as far as being messy, but it doesn't need to be. The other way is to use the soft tools, and this is my favorite. The soft tools that we use for like pan pastels or blending colored pencil with powder blender on sanded paper. These little guys, I've got the little smudgy thing, and I did not put these in the description, but if you're looking for what these are, it's SOFFT, 2 Fs. Dropping things. And you can just dip that. Actually, some of these have already been used. You can see where I've dipped it in there. And these aren't quite as messy. See how I'm not having as much fall off? They also will get a lot darker. see how light that was compared to this. So those are some benefits of these. I definitely prefer the ones from Soft Tools. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Which one do I want to use? Some of these cutouts for the Soft Tools, for what I'm doing, probably aren't the most useful. I don't know. I had one that I really did want to use, and I don't know where it went. Actually, I should find that. Hold on 1 second. It should be over here. Oh, that one's dirty. That won't work. Huh. Okay. I'll have to do without or order more. I lost it. So I'm just going to go ahead and load up this one. I'm going to tap it onto the paper so that it doesn't get too crazy. So make sure I don't have too dark there. It was kind of on the too dark side. So I'm going to start by going up around her arm. I'm going to try to not make too big of a mess here. Actually, I should probably use a smaller tool around the edge. Let's go ahead and use this guy. I can't see with that shadow. Why is that creating such a shadow there? There we go. Oh, hey, look, I can see what I'm doing now. Now, the cool thing with this is I found when you put the, let's see, this is all her hair. This gets really light, so I'm not going to go crazy in there. But when you put your powder on with this, things tend to erase really well, really cleanly. See how gone. You don't even see that it was there. Although now I need my drafting brush, which I think I dropped last week behind the easel. Hold on, have to go hunting. Way too many wires in my face here. Well, I found some brush, but that's not it. Oh, my ruler. I've been missing that one. Oh my gosh. Hold on. See, I knew I did not have everything that I needed. It should just be right here. It's not. I guess I can use this. So when you have eraser marks, which is what I'm looking for, you should be using a drafting brush, but I have mine out for the video I recently finished, or this graphite video that just went up, and I don't know where I put it. Huh, okay. So I'm just going to use a regular paintbrush. You don't want to use your hand to wipe away eraser marks. I'm just going to do a little bit of that. And the eraser marks, I should have used this one to erase. The Faber-Castell one doesn't leave as many crumbles. That one, they have a dust-free one that's really nice. I mean, it says it's dust-free. It's not 100%. Like, it will leave some little residue, but it kind of comes off in bigger clumps, and you don't have a million little bits of it all over the place. So we'll just clean that up. And here, where I get around her arm, where I was a little bit careless, I can just come back through and clean that up before I'm ready to shade her arm. Not a big deal tonight. I can go, make a bit of a mess and not really worry about it because I can clean it up later, but there we go. Okay. Let's see. Thanks, Veek. Or Veek Writer. Are the sponges I'm going to use like makeup sponges? Sort of, but better. They're not, makeup sponges tend to be a little bit fluffier. These are more dense. And they definitely, I get better results, I think, anyway, for what I'm looking for with these than I do with makeup ones. D. Lynn Creative, you're not sick of me after spending all day Saturday with me on our live stream? Said I used your giraffe reference photo for a graphite drawing to get more practice on values. Can I add a background after the drawing is complete without messing up the main subject? You might overlap a little bit with the graphite. You just clean it up. You may have to just go back and clean the giraffe up again after, but absolutely add that background. You can go back and forth like that. Not a problem. At worst, if you get a little crazy, you like right here where I kind of went over on her arm. Now, if I were not recording, I would actually position my body more in front of it. This is big and it's not in a great location for me to see what I'm doing, but I would stand more in front of it so I wouldn't be as likely to make those kinds of mistakes, but I can easily fix it. And that's going to be the same thing with your giraffe. If you accidentally go over it a little bit, no big deal. Just going to keep things really soft around the edge of her hair. going to pull the background. I'm really just going to focus on, looks like a candle flame. That's not what that is. That's a flower. Okay, so for tonight, this is the area I'll be focusing on. How do I feel about using colored pencil over alcohol marker? I feel it helps me. I'm wondering what you think. I think it's great as far as how it looks. It's beautiful. The problem is the alcohol markers aren't light fast. That's going to fade. And so with your colored pencils, because you think, well, I have colored pencil on top, that'll protect it. It's not really an issue of protecting it. It's not like putting sunscreen on. Like that's not really how it works. Those alcohol markers over the years are going to start to fade, which means more of the white paper shows through. So it basically is going to be like you put your colored pencils on flat white paper and you don't have the marker as that base. So it looks really cool. I think it's great for sketchbooks, but as far as something that you're going to sell, that would be a huge concern of mine, is that none of the alcohol markers are light fast. I mean, like Copics, all of that, they will fade. They look amazing though. Okay, let's get a bit more. So as I'm loading this little tool, just tapping some of that graphite powder on. You don't need a ton of it on there. And then I'm dabbing it on my scratch piece of paper just to make sure I don't go too crazy. So I'm going to start blocking in areas that I know are going to be a bit darker. And this is all out of focus, so I don't care if it's perfect. I mean, it doesn't matter if, like, one of my little circles isn't in the exact right spot or anything like that. It's really not going to make a difference. The end feel will be the same. This background, one of the reasons that I think I might redo this again in acrylics for a separate lesson would be so pretty with this background airbrushed. And I don't remember what it's called on Pixabay. It was something about girl and summer. Like if I found it by doing a search for portraits. And it was like summer girl portrait, something like that, if you're looking for this photo. Now, it's always easier to go a bit too light and come back and darken things up as needed. Although, like I said, with this thing, it's pretty easy to come back and fix things. Or erase. This erases very easily. It's a lot like if you watched my lesson, my graphite lesson video that went up yesterday. It's a lot like when you use your shading tools. When you shade with these, that area is going to erase very, very well. If you shade with your pencil, depending on how soft the lead is, so how dark that pencil is, it's not going to erase quite the same. I don't feel like a stalker. That's too funny. I just remember saying your name a lot on Saturday. I'm like, wow, you must really be sick of me by now. Okay. So I've got a darker area that's going to come up and through here. So when I do these out of focus backgrounds, I'm not going to I could spend 40 hours and make it look exactly like the background. Why? If it looks about the same, there's no real reason. Once I get into drawing her, then I've got to be a lot more picky about how everything comes out. But for this, there's no real benefit to making it, in my opinion, making it exact, every line, every shadow exact. I don't think the viewer is going to notice anything. You know, you guys will notice because I'm telling you where the reference photo came from, but the average viewer wouldn't, as long as I can capture that same feel. And I'm just going to go dark over all of this and use the eraser to pull out the highlights. But can you imagine how long, with how big this is, getting the same effect with your regular pencils? Oh my gosh, it would take forever. I love anything that saves me some time. Plus, I really just like the look that you get, that really soft look. And remember, make sure if you're going to ask a question or if you want something that I would see, I keep forgetting which camera I'm looking at, this one. Make sure to do the Outlaw Cree Fine Art. If it doesn't highlight in orange, I'm probably not going to see it. It's not that I'm trying to ignore you or anything like that. I had one person accuse me of only responding to patrons on these live streams, which is not true. I just never saw her question. So do make sure that you get that highlight. If you have trouble with that, if you just can't get it to work, I can never get it to work. But if you guys can't get it to work, sometimes the mods will see it and you can ask them to post the question for you. So I'm just going to soften some of this out a bit more. And if I have something where there's an area where like the line is a bit too harsh, I'm just going to work that into the background. I'll make it look intentional. There was a saying that, and I forget who it is. I need to look it up. I'm sure I could find out who the musician was, but there's this really, really famous guitarist. I want to say he was a blues or played blues. Super famous. And people would ask him, how do you never, ever mess up? Like, you're amazing. Why do you never mess up? He goes, oh no, I mess up all the time. But then I repeat that screw up over and over. And I'm paraphrasing because I've never read the actual quote. I've only heard from other musicians would say this, tell me this story. But he'd say, it's not that I'm not making a mistake. It's that when I do, I repeat the mistake over and over. So you think, the listener thinks it's intentional. Same thing with our art. If something isn't quite right, work it into the work. Don't throw it out and start over. Work it into it so that it looks like you did it on purpose. Let's see. Have I ever used a deer chamois? It creates really clear dimension. I have some, these guys, but they're synthetic. Like, I don't know what they're made from, some kind of synthetic man-made fiber. Let's see. Monkey says, when you draw really dark values with softer pencils, what's the best way to a kid shininess? I guess I'm thinking you mean avoid. I bet that was a typo. Your phone is probably trying to make up words for you like mine does. But the best way to avoid shininess when you're using those dark pencils, don't push hard. It's so easy to think, well, if I push hard, it'll be darker. Well, yeah, but you end up burnishing or you're polishing it. I mean, graphite, the way that graphite is, you're polishing it into a nice shine. The harder you push and the faster you move that pencil too. So even if you're using a light hand, but you're working your hand really fast, that's going to create a high gloss to it as well. So keeping a very, very light hand and don't work that pencil really fast. Let's see. Whoops, that just scrolled too far. Where was I? Blue Tea Art said, when selling works of art, how do you explain to someone who knows nothing of art? Well, what do you mean? Like how to care for it or why they should buy it? It's funny as far as like why they should buy it. I did that Aquashella show in Dallas in March, and I'm like trying to tell people why my prints are valuable, why they're more expensive. Not only were they a bigger size than your average like 11 by 14 inch print, they're giclées. They're not going to fade. And I'm trying to explain that, and people right over their head. They didn't care. They just saw, oh, you're charging more. It didn't make sense to them at all why they should care. But on the flip side, anyone who did buy that is not going to come back at me and be like, wow, my work faded 2 weeks later. Or my print faded 2 weeks later. But I find that most people, like when they're just shopping at something like that, they did not care about it being archival. They didn't care. I'm sure they'd care when it fades. So if somebody bought something from someone who wasn't archival, they may come back and be annoyed then. But as far as trying to explain it didn't matter. I mean, I guess you could put up a sign, ask me why. I don't know. I'm not sure how to get them to care in that case, because mine sure, what I've experienced, I think that they expect every print to last long term. And I think that the average buyer doesn't, and not just print, originals too. The average buyer doesn't realize what archival means and that not all art supplies are archival. I mean, most of the time you go to different art shows and I see what artists are selling and they'll talk about the materials they used, or if you ask them and you're like, but that's not archival. But people don't know to ask for it. The buyer doesn't know to ask for it. I think it's the responsibility of the artist just to be creating archival work. But I had a hard time, trying to convince people or tell them, like, their eyes would just glaze over. And so I finally stopped pushing the whole too much. You can kind of start to tell who is not going to care that it's archival. But you can't make them care. They just expect everything, I think, to be archival. And the only way I'm going to explain that they're not is to go, oh, see this person next to me? Yeah, their stuff not archival, going to be faded in a few years. But you can't do that. I mean, it makes you look petty and bad, even though it's not untrue. So there really wasn't any good way there. As far as like somebody who buys work and they don't know how to take care of it, I'll generally go through the like how to keep it clean with your fingers off. You can wipe it down with a damp cloth and dry it. My work can when it's varnished anyway. It depends on the work, obviously not colored pencil. I'm thinking more acrylics or oils. But, go over your general bits of information like that. but just care. But as far as like trying to explain to buyers why it matters, I guess one thing you could do if it's online is maybe make a blog post. What does like archival mean? So when you're saying what it is, it can have a link to like the explanation of why you should care if something's archival. I don't know. I'm not sure how to educate people on that. But that was always a hard thing. Now, then you go into, is it the meaning? You want to explain the meaning. It's kind of the same thing. Most of the time when you're talking to people, especially at like art fairs or art shows, their eyes just glaze over like, why is she still talking to me right now? I don't care about this. Not always, but more often than not, I would say that's the case. I mean, I guess it just depends on what it is that you mean about explaining to them. Are you explaining what it means? Are you explaining the values? And the thing with art is, other than it being archival, you really shouldn't have to explain it. Your art's going to say something different to one person than it does to the next. So I don't like to explain what my message was behind it. I mean, you have something like this. There's no message. It was a pretty photo. I can't claim that I'm making some amazing statement with it other than girl laying in grass. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the message there would be. Not my, it wasn't my photo. It wasn't my design, my setup or anything like that. So there's not really anything to explain there. I really, long story short, I don't know. That's helpful. Let's see. Knitters say that 1 drop stitch is a mistake. 2 drop stitches is a pattern. Yes. Just repeat it. That's funny. That scrolled too far. Lauren said, any tips for drawing in blurry backgrounds in colored pencil? Don't have an airbrush. Layers, lots of light layers. You can have high contrast, but you don't want sharp edges, sharp lines. So you're going to, let's say you're blending green into a darker shaded area that has purple. You're going to overlap the green and the purple a bit, and just lots of layers. And I have a lot of videos. If you look up some of my past colored pencil videos, look where I've got that out of focus background that isn't airbrush, because not all of them are. And you can get an idea of how I did that. But lots and lots and lots of light layers, and letting one color overlap the next so that you do get that blurred, that shift. Let's see. I tried OMS on Bristol plate paper? I don't think I've even tried Bristol plate paper. So no? I mean, I've used Bristol vellum and I hated it. Mostly I hate it. I was going to say no, but yeah, mostly I don't like that. Too smooth for me. Nilera said, hi, I wanted to know, what do you think is the right amount of time an art student should take to finish a graphite piece? Sketch, values, detail. My current teacher tells me I'm slow. There's no amount of time. Now, it's hard because, I mean, if you're on a budget, or not a budget, a deadline, obviously you can't spend 2 months working on something, and especially as a student. So you may need to step up the pace on that. And one of the things that happens a lot is that students especially get so focused on detail that they miss the big picture, so to say, as far as your values, your composition, all of that. You can do it faster and get the assignment done. If you want to get into, like, let's say hyperrealism or like somewhere between photorealism and hyperrealism, where you're spending hundreds of hours on your work. I don't do that. I'm not really interested in that level of detail. But if you wanted to do that, do it on your own time, not for your classwork. It's not practical. You're not going to get that stuff done. The hyperrealism, it is a fairly impractical way to work when you're trying to sell your work, because it does take hundreds of hours for one painting or drawing. So it can be a bit of a challenge there. You will get faster with time, but there's no one answer, I would say. I mean, maybe ask your teacher, because she can look at your work and give you an idea of how long you spent versus how long she'd like to see you spend. You may need to practice, do some thumbnails, like really small sketches, and time yourself 10 minutes. I've got 10 minutes to render this. Let's say it's a landscape with mountains, but make it look like a landscape of mountains. 10 minutes. You've got to focus. It'll force you to start focusing on your values and composition versus the details. And new artists always want to focus on the details, and details just take too long. So you may need to spend a shorter amount of time. And I know that's the opposite of what I typically talk about. I typically talk about not finishing the work, calling it finished too soon. Yes, that's absolutely a thing. But I have seen where some people are so focused on the details, they're not putting enough work into that background, into like the bigger blocks of lights and darks, which it sounds like, if I had to guess, that's probably what your teacher wants you to be focusing more on right now. Your composition and your values, your contrast is probably the thing. on your own, you spend all the time you need to complete the work to get it to look how you want it to. But when you're doing class projects and you're on a deadline, you probably need to start focusing more on the basics there. So I can't give you a time, unfortunately, but I would ask your teacher, like, you see what I finished. How long do you think I should have taken to get this effect? Clarence said, I'm doing a graphite portrait too. I'm using mechanical pencils and using hatching and cross-hatching only. That looks so cool. That is such a cool design. I'm actually going to finally, and I haven't done this in forever, on this one, there are areas that I'm going to use a mechanical pencil too. Elaine said, I'm selling graphite drawings, not framed. Wondering if I should mat them. I would at the very least mat them. I don't typically frame anything unless someone's like in person where I'm going to exchange it with them, because I don't like to ship anything with glass. Too much can go wrong. And especially in my area, our postal workers are really harsh and break all the things. But yeah, I would definitely mat it, because if it doesn't cost you that much, and the presentation is so much more impressive when the person opens their box and sees this matted piece. And then, especially if it's a standard mat where they just have to pop it into a frame, it's very easy for them to do. I absolutely recommend matting. Now, there are times if something's super big, like this piece was really large. Let's say I were to sell this. I don't know why someone will want to buy a portrait of a random girl, but let's say somebody did. Something this size, I'm not going to mat because the box would be so large. I'm better off. The artwork would be safer if I rolled it into a tube at this size, because a large flat box, it's too easy for someone to put weight in the middle, or, use it as a table with two boxes on the edges and just bend the artwork. And I can keep the artwork safer in a tube. So there are times where I will choose not to mat, but in almost any case, or every case, especially smaller things, yeah, if you can mat it, I would definitely go that route. Let's see. Jack said, will you be doing any videos of the new Derwent Lightfast pencils? Can't wait for your Faber-Castell watercolor pencil video. Yeah, eventually I will. I need to talk to Derwent. They're going to have to send me some. They haven't done that yet. I have a feeling they're waiting till they're released here. Are they here yet? I don't know. But yeah, I don't have them yet. I have the original set, which I loved. 1 second. Let me make sure none of these notifications are emergencies on my phone. My young sister likes to message me for some reason during the live stream. Can't talk, Leanna. If you're watching, I can't answer you during a live stream. Nope, we are good. Ooh, mail from my favorite nail polish stamping company. That's important. Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and start erasing and coming up with this. And I wanted to try something. I took my kneaded eraser. Let's see how well. Oh, this is perfect. So I made it into a ball. I'll have to do this a couple of times. So I just rolled it into a ball like this, and look at the perfect circle. I'll have to change the size a few times. That's exactly what I was hoping it would do. Normally I kind of twist and turn the erasers, but if I can just dab it, let it overlap a little, kind of turn it so I can get a few at the same time. Don't push as hard and it's not as big. This is so perfect. I was really hoping it would work this easily. Remember when you do these little circles in the background when you're doing the bokeh look? They don't have to be perfect. And especially in this case, these little circles, a lot of these are just the flowers in the distance. Okay, I'm stupidly happy right now because my gosh, is that easier than sitting there and doing my circles and trying to smooth it out. I want it brighter. I'll just push that same spot a couple of times. And then it'll start to pick up a lot of graphite, so just re-roll it together. Yay, this is amazing. Can I do a live stream of the Faber-Castell watercolor pencils? Eventually, yeah, I do need to do a project with those. Let's see. Ooh, missed a few questions here. Boz Art Painting, Drawing, and Gunpowder Tutorial says, any suggestions for teaching my 12 and 9-year-olds shading and graphite? They are amazing little artists, but I can't seem to simplify and explain to them in a simpler form. For your 9-year-old, just give your 9-year-old the supplies and let them have fun. I wouldn't even take too much time focusing on that, because for some reason, until kids, I've been teaching kids, I started teaching preteens, over 20 years ago. But when I was teaching them art, I found until kids hit about sometimes 11, sometimes 10, but usually not until about 12, they just don't have the patience to really get what I was explaining. So what I would find happening is I would give them the instructions. I'd walk away to help another student, and that the littler ones were like right away, Miss Lisa, I need to know what to do next. And it's like, you should have been working on that last step I gave you should have taken 30 minutes. And within 20 seconds, okay, what's next? And I found instead of fighting with the kids with that, it's not like an instrument. With an instrument, you want to start them little. With sports, start them little. With art, there is something that at about 12 years old, something snaps in their brain and they suddenly get it. But so with the little ones, what I generally recommend people do, just give them the supplies and let them have fun. You can draw with them, and if they ask you what you're doing, you can show them, but you don't want to make it frustrating for them. You want it to constantly say that positive experience. So the littler one, say let him have fun with, with what he's doing. With a 12-year-old, though, the first thing that I do is just show them basic shading from the darkest value you have up to the lightest. Explain to them and show them how to do that. And you can show the little guy how to do, or girl, how to do it too. But I wouldn't be too worried about the 9-year-old or trying to make sure everything's just right on the 9-year-old. And there are exceptions. So you are going to know your kids best. But with the 9-year-old, probably just let them have fun. The 12-year-old, just show them basic shading techniques. And another thing that really helps with kids, if you're working with them, you guys are sitting there working at the same time, chances are that 12-year-old's going to be paying attention to what you're doing. Just from watching you work, he or she's probably going to learn a lot more from that too. But, show them the basic shade from light to dark or dark to light. Either way, let them gain control. Like I would draw a rectangle and just show, actually here, I'll show you. This is watercolor paper, so it's actually not ideal, but you'll get the idea. I would just take a regular, and I usually would teach the kids to do this with your darkest pencil. So I'm going to use an 8B. But I would just draw a rectangle and have them shade from as dark. So you push it a little bit harder, get lighter to where barely any pressure is being added. We're going to stop just a little past halfway, but see how I've already got a fade. And I'm controlling that fade with the pencil. At that age, I'm not worrying about if the graphite's shiny, any of that. I don't really care. Then we're going to take a shading tool. So one of these guys, and I'm going to hold it on its side and go in little circles. And I'm going to pull that through. And same thing, less and less pressure so it fades to where your paper's completely white. But I start working with kids, and we'll do that in a couple of layers. So now they're going to learn how graphite layers, that it's not just put the right color in the right place, not a paint by number. I'm going to go over it again, still using that 8B, that darkest lead. I'm not going to go as far over this time. I'm going to go a little bit lighter. But this is how I typically and I teach adults or kids. It's not just kids this. But I'll teach people, don't worry about staying inside the lines. Just make your little rectangle. And that's how I get people started on their first lesson of shading with graphite. This tool and the darkest pencil. Once they get the hang of that, I will do the same thing with a circle where you're trying to make it look rounded like a sphere. So your light source and all of that. And then we start a project. So if the 9-year-old wants to join in on that, great. If not, don't worry about it. Let him have fun however he likes. But the 12-year-old definitely gets started on that. Undecided Mike said, it's good to see you do a video with pencil graphite. It's more my area. I'm currently working on a portrait. It's been a while, so I hope to get a few tips I may have forgotten about. Oh, good. I hope this helped. Well, I won't be getting too much into the portrait tonight. I'm just really working on my bokeh background. But yes. Ursi said, can you do a light? Okay, I answered that one because I'm out of order here. Heather said the book group page is up. It's called Lachri Book Club. Go join, please. So we're going to do a book club where we're all going to read the same book type thing, as long as it's a happy ending. You guys better not get me to read something sad or real. I don't like real books. I want to escape into a fantasy land of like fairies and crap. But anyway, we're going to do a book club where we can all talk about it. And for any of you artists who want to join, Heather said that it is up. So look up Lachri Book Club on Facebook. So yay, I can't wait to join that tonight. I'm hoping for some good suggestions, more good suggestions. Tamara said, how are the pups and chickens? Pups are good, like surprisingly so. Like I love my vet. He is a miracle worker. I don't know how how sick both of them, they both had different problems over the last few months. But they are doing wonderful. Jesse's on a new, something to help with their joints, and that's working really well too. My little old lady girls, but they're doing really good. I was even proud of them. We had a massive storm come through. a little while ago out of the blue, and they even went outside when they were supposed to. That's a big deal for Italian greyhounds. They don't let, well, Jessie doesn't mind water. Echo thinks water is trying to murder her. So these are going to be a little bit bigger over here. I'm so happy this is working how I wanted it to. Again, rolling that into a circle. And the chickens are good too. Where did this go? Too far. Beach Mama said, they are not available here in the US yet. I had to get mine from Cult Pens over in the UK. Yeah, that's probably, oh, they usually just send like the new ones when they're first available. Let's see. Sam said, I use the paper you suggested, but when I use OMS on it, I get grainy effects. This is natural for OMS with colored pencil. I'm using the hot press watercolor paper. You don't have enough pigment on your paper. You have to have a lot of pencil, not by pushing harder, a lot of light layers. So chances are if it's very grainy, and it's not super unusual for that to be your first layer, but when that dries, put more pencil on. It shouldn't be super grainy. The biggest reason that happens is because you don't have enough pigment on the paper, enough colored pencil. So lots and lots of layers of pencil before you blend. But if you blend too soon, it's not a big deal. You're just going to go back through and layer again. Now I need to make sure I'm overlapping these because right now I'm just getting polka dots. You do not want that on a bokeh background. It doesn't look right. I'm going to push a little harder, flatten him out. That didn't look good. It seems to be better if he starts out in the right shape. He ended up kind of bumpy on that one. Just experimenting. I mean, as an artist, this is a big tip for you. Always experiment. Don't get to where you're like, okay, I'm really good at doing the bokeh background one way, so I'm never going to try another way. Try other ways. You never know. Like, this is a way more effective. I'm getting the same end result, but it is so much easier than how I normally do this. So always, when it comes to art, always be experimenting and trying different techniques. Sometimes it's not going to look good. No big deal. If it doesn't look good, try again. Try something else. But always experiment. Don't just get content to do everything one way. You never find other cool ways to do this. Why have I not done it this way before? I don't know why it never crossed my mind. Oh, I know why, because normally I do the background with a pencil and it doesn't lift like this. So I don't know that this would work nearly, actually I know it wouldn't, nearly as well with if you applied the pencil to the paper to get that background. This is working because it erases so well with graphite powder. Now, the other way you could go is if you applied everything with just your shading tool. So, and what I mean by that, let's say you take, which pencil is this? That is the 8B. Okay, so let's say I'm going to just scribble, get a lot of graphite on there. And if I take my shading tool, lift a bunch of graphite, if I shaded my background this way, instead of directly pencil on the paper, that way with this will also do this. So if you don't have graphite powder, that is a way that this would still work. Thanks, Xerxes. Oops, that scrolled too far. Tamara said, so funny. My dog also thinks that water equals acid. Glad to hear they're well. Yeah, only one of mine is that bad. One is not. Isn't bothered, but one really hates it. Solar Sun, for the graphite, does the paper surface matter or have an impact on the type of art movement such as realism? My sketchbook has a lot of hills and valleys. Hell, yes, the paper does matter. If you want it to be more realistic, you do want something semi-smooth. That's the Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press 140-pound watercolor paper is great. Arches too. Arches I think is a bit too expensive for this. I want to say that the Fabriano is a little bit less expensive, and it works just fine for graphite. While I like the arches for my watercolor, anything with water media, because this will warp more, with graphite, this is one of my favorites. You do want smooth, but you don't want too smooth because you get into bristle vellum. Now, some people like that, so it's not that you can't use it, but I don't like how it gets so smooth that it doesn't take enough like it's hard to really get the graphite to stick after a few layers. So it can be hard to get it to go dark enough. especially if you like to use carbon pencil or charcoal with it or anything like that, you really don't want really, really smooth. So you've got to find a good balance that just works for the technique that you're going for. But this one is my favorite. Now with graphite, I'm not as picky with the graphite paper as I am for colored pencil. So as long as it's fairly smooth, not too smooth, yeah, that's not subjective at all. You should be fine. Now I want to also make sure I turn this because I don't want all of the circles to look like they're the exact same shape, like oval going up over and over again, or just sideways or whatever. So see how I keep turning? Get variation in there. I still can't get over how fast this is. I just look at how many times I've done backgrounds with the bokeh effect and spent 8 hours just getting the background shaded in. And I just did this in a couple of minutes. Well, it would be less if I weren't live streaming, but that's crazy to me. And it's giving me the results that I want. Like, wow. I'm excited if you can't tell. Yeah, once the live stream is over, I will come back through and leave a comment. Or Heather, you can leave a comment once it's over and it's like your normal comment and not the chat comment. We'll put a link and then pin it for the book club. That'll be so fun. I'm excited. So now I'm twisting. Some of these I want to be a bit brighter, so I'm still in the circle. But once it's done, I'm just kind of twisting in place. A little bit. No, it's a little too much. There we go. Just to pick up a little bit more. Now, see how some of these, it's like 2 circles? Good. We want that. We do not want these to be perfect polka dots everywhere. We want them looking like they're overlapping. We want to get a lot of texture in here. Now, I definitely need to start coming back through and darkening some of these up. Now, part of that could be done with the graphite powder, or I could switch to a pencil. I've got a few ways to do this. So let's see what I can do with the graphite powder first. I lost my shading tool. Where did that go? Oh, cool. I'm getting a link later. Molly said, this looks great. What size is this piece? I'm not sure. The paper itself is 16 by 20, but I don't think you can see off the edge. It's not a full 16 by 20. It's probably closer, I would guess, maybe 14. No. I would say maybe 15 by 18, 14 by 18, something like that. I'm not sure. I didn't measure. I just know that the paper as a whole is 16 by 20 and I'm not using the whole paper. Whoops. Have I seen that kneadable graphite? It looks super messy, but I'm curious. I may try it. Ooh, I have not. You should try it and let me know how it goes. Who makes it? Tamara says, I love the bouquet look you're getting. How clever. Was this your own idea? I mean, I'm sure other people have done it before me, but I've not seen it done. So I don't want to be like, I'm the first ever to do this. I guarantee you someone's done this before me. But I've never seen it done. It was just like right before I was getting started, I was like, hey, I wonder if this would work easier as I was unwrapping because it's a new graphite and I was rolling it into a ball. While I was rolling it, I was like, that might make things easier. But no, I don't want to pretend or give the impression that I know. No matter what you do in art, somebody else has already done it. So while, yeah, I came up with the idea on my own, I guarantee you other people have done it before. Okay. You know what I'm thinking? I'm going to switch the cover on my... Let me grab the set of these. I'm going to switch the cover that I'm using. I think I'll get better results now with the circle. So with these soft tools, you've got lots and lots of covers to choose from. So I am going to go... This may be too harsh, but it might also give me more control. Let's find out. Oh, this is the wrong... 1 second, missing pieces again. Okay. So I'm going to use the little triangle guy and see if I can have a little bit more control as I work through here, darkening it up. I'm going to see how much of this I can do with just the graphite powder before I switch to graphite pencils. Come on, slide in there. My neighbor, I don't know if he just got a girlfriend or if his mom's living there now. I know it's a lady. But since she moved in, their kitchen shares the wall with my studio. They use their blender nonstop. She must be cooking all day long. I feel like I should see if she can come be my roommate. But my gosh, all day. It's really annoying when I'm trying to do voiceovers and I'm like, I have to stop because their blender's running again. Like, how are you blending so much stuff? You guys must eat so much better than me. So let's see. Yeah, this looks like it'll be a good way to come through and add some extra shadows. Yep, that should work for me. And I'll still probably come back through with a pencil and define it better, but. Nick says, my favorites are the big, long, ovally ones. I have this one, and then there's one other one that's a little bit more round, like more pointed. I like that one too. I actually brought that over here. Neil Patel Art said, this is my favorite way to get bokeh background in graphite. Imagine if you did this with colored pencils. You would save so much time. Oh my gosh, I wish you could do this with colored pencil. Oh good, Kyle's here. He says we can go ahead and start. Thanks for your permission. You're late. Taking it out of your paycheck. Yes, I'm like, what are the words? I can't even think of words. Ursi said, I liked it. What you did for an art drawing, somebody else has definitely already done it. Yes, definitely. That needle, Brett says, that kneadable graphite is made by Art Graph. Huh. I'm going to have to look into that. That sounds really interesting. Ooh, that's really dark. We'll be spreading that around. I should have tested that on my paper first. I got distracted by the blender that's still getting going. I don't even know if it's actually a blender. It's something. Maybe she makes cakes all day, and it's like one of those spinny things that my mother-in-law has. The, like, I don't know. I don't cook. I don't know what things are called. They're really nice people. I could probably just go ask and no longer have to be curious. What is that noise you guys do all day long? I mean, I know it's the kitchen. Oops, too dark. I'm going to take my eraser and reform that a bit. Oh, look, see, easy fix. Okay, good. Oops, one second, just making sure I'm all caught up on this. Yeah, no, Kyle definitely doesn't get a paycheck. I couldn't even remember the word for paycheck. That's how much I pay you guys. And that's getting a bit of a harsh line. I probably don't need. We'll just soften that a bit. This is like the easiest, most forgiving way I have ever done this. Kind of excited right now. Can you guys hear that? The grindy whatever. Possibly an oxygen machine? I don't think so. Yogurt maker? I don't know, maybe. How do we prevent the graphite shine on our artwork? Do we need to use mechanical pencils or special hand pressure? So I already answered you. We already talked about this, and it was to you. Are you not watching? Are you asking questions and then not watching? You're just not going to push as hard with a pencil. So I'll answer this again in case anyone else missed it. I already answered this one. You just don't push as hard. Don't push as hard and don't move the pencil as fast. Those two things, pushing hard with your pencil and moving it really fast, those two things will cause it to shine. But yeah, that's the easiest way to avoid that if you can combine those. And they do make products, like matte finish products, you can spray over your finished work and it'll tone it down some, but it's not a sure thing. So ideally, if you don't want the shine, just try to avoid it in the first place. PC Cherokee said, what did you choose to draw? Why did you choose to draw Spike out of all the Buffy characters, and which is your favorite? Angel was my favorite, except that show ended so stupid and the last few seasons were so bad that he no longer was my favorite. He had been for forever. Probably Spike, because he's funny. Yeah, I would say Spike was probably my favorite. Just because his sense of humor I thought was funny. But yeah, before that I would have said it was Angel. I don't think I ever drew him, though. The reason that I chose it, I had a guy who was an art manager, like when I first started with art, and I was all excited. I was like, yeah, I have a manager. No, not really. He was useless. So he wanted me to draw, and this is before I had any understanding about how copyright works. He wanted me to draw or paint a portrait, because all I did was marine life. And he wanted me to paint a portrait so people could see I had the skill level to do it. Like, except I don't have the skill level to do it. So why would I paint a portrait? Like, that doesn't make sense. No, you need to have a portrait. You need to have a portrait. Okay, but that, again, still doesn't make a ton of sense because all I'm interested in painting are whales and dolphins and fish. So I don't get why you're having me do this. No, you have to do it. Okay, fine. So I spent 16 hours alone to get the drawing, the pencil drawing, because I drew directly onto the canvas. And just trial and error until I got the drawing perfect. And again, I don't draw, this time I never drew people. That wasn't something I could do, or I thought I could do, but I was like, no, I'm going to do it. I've changed my mind. I'm going to switch. And it's, I guess, a good lesson in just our outlook, how we view things. I always told myself, I can't draw people, so I don't even try. So he insisted I need it, and I was still in that mindset, very young artist of, oh, cool, a manager. He wants me to do this. I have to do it. So I went ahead and did that, spent forever. I spent longer, I think, on the drawing than I did the painting itself. And that was not the graphite one. That was, somebody wanted me to draw that for them later on. So that's why I have two of Spike. But my first oil painting portrait, I had freehanded it directly onto that canvas, 16 hours to get it perfect. But it was because that manager guy was like, you have to have an example that you can paint people accurately, which still to this day is funny to me. I'm like, but I can't. I don't draw people. I can't paint them accurately. And it was still one of my better portraits. But yeah, that's how that came to be. It was just that show at the time was very popular, and he suggested I pick a character that he said, you want it to be a famous person, somebody that everybody, when they see it, will know who it is, just so that people know that there's your skill level at the time. So that is how that came to be. If they're canning jam, you would use a blender and it might take all day. That would make sense. All day for months, though. Maybe that's like something they regularly do, because that does kind of sound like that. That would make sense. Rook's Artwork said, if you don't like the stuff on your hands, you're going to want to wear gloves with a kneadable graphite. Oh, no. That's not for me, then. That's a big nope. Thank you for the warning. I don't like gloves on my hands either. Only time that I'll wear gloves is like if I'm with plants, because that'll mess up my nails when I'm planting stuff, or when my hands go in my fish tank. Other than that, I hate gloves. Even then, I don't like them, but they're a necessity. Lou said, what is your favorite video that you've done? Oh, gosh. It's easier for me to think favorite painting than favorite video. I mean, I would, honestly, the one that went up yesterday, the graphite one, I put the most work into. Gosh, that was like 3 days. And it wasn't 3 days because of the computer crashing, like the problem I was having earlier this year or a few months back. It was 3 days because, oh my gosh, that was a lot of editing, and that was a long video. But I'm really happy with how that came up. I hope a lot of people are helped with that one, that the beginner's graphite on a budget video. I'm not sure what my favorite, though. I never really thought about it. Solar Sun said, do you ever have the crisis of making your paper wet accidentally? What must you do if that happens? If it's graphite, you may or may not be able to fix it. It depends on where that happened. Like, I had a student who, she was wearing braces at the time, and so it was just very common for her to accidentally spit when she was talking. And she was working on I Love Lucy portrait. It was one of her first portraits. It was coming out great, but she spit and had a big oily drop that just never worked. It was always there, and it was like on the face. It wasn't even somewhere you could hide. It was just, this is now there. I guess we could give Lucille Ball a random mole, but then it's no longer her. So it wasn't an easy. That was one of few times where I would tell somebody, like, if you were doing a commission and that happened, start over. If it shows, you start over. But normally you would, if it was something like back in here, you wouldn't have noticed. I would just hide it with, the circles and the shadows and stuff. But it depends on what area that happens in. But that one was a bad one that we just couldn't fix. There was nothing you could do about that. Art Jitter said, I'd like to know that too. What was your favorite video? Yeah, still don't know. I'll think about it. I mean, again, favorite paintings, but favorite video? I'm not sure. Right now, like I said, I'm most proud of the one that went up yesterday just because there was so much editing in it. But I tried to put the little fun characters the pop-ups and stuff, but I don't know. Let's throw it back at you. What is your favorite video I've done? I really can't. I'm not sure. If I can hear them, they can hear me. Good. They also, I think, have a TV on that wall, and they will blast it late at night. They'd be able, at this volume, to hear me talking, but they wouldn't be able to hear what I said. I know this because I know how loud their TV has to be before I can understand what's being said. But they're actually cool neighbors, so I didn't say anything bad about them, so it wouldn't bother me. But yeah, they sometimes get loud. I don't see it in the description. Did you get the yes, it came from Pixabay Tamara. And if you look up, I think it's like, what is it, like, what was it, summer? I looked up portrait and it was listed as like girl in summer or summer girl. The word summer was in it. So if you look up summer portrait, you'd probably come up with it. And just when you're looking for it, the whole background is gold, like goldish brown, and blue flowers. And then her dress is blue with white polka dots. So, and she has brown hair. So that's what you're looking for on this one. I should have linked it. Do I have a favorite celebrity? No. Do I? I'm trying to think. I should stop looking back. You don't need to see up my nose. I'm a huge fan of Keanu Reeves. Yes, I'm going to go with Keanu Reeves as my favorite. He just seems like the most awesome guy. And I like the video. Most of the videos he chooses to make. He's done some really, like, I mean, Matrix and then John Wick. Yeah, definitely a fan. And then, like, when you watch videos of how he behaves in public and how kind he is to people, yep, he is my favorite. Other than that, I would say musicians, I guess, fall under celebrities. So, but then I'm just voting based on music that I like. Let's see. Whoops. Oh, that question just got blocked up for some reason. Cavium said, I ended up ordering more canvases, including the biggest size I've ever done, a 24 by 30. I bought the fluid retarder is the word on that one, by the way. I think your phone tried to correct that for you. So many of my brushstrokes look smoother, but it might just be me. Yeah, I mean, if you like the retarders, that's fine. They just don't work for my technique. But yeah, if it's working for you, great. I mean, we all have different tools that we like. And I mean, some of the stuff I use, other people hate. And the other way around. So if that's working for you, that's cool. Fiddle Joel, I have considered wearing a disposable medical mask when drawing. Yeah, if you've had that happen and ruin something you spent, I could see that being something you take seriously. Like spitting on your artwork, that would be just crushing to have something that you put a lot of work into and it's like, well, that's done. Let's see. What is the best time to do art? At night? For me, it's at night, but there's no best time. It's whatever time you are working is the best time. Whatever time of the day you have the ability or the time to go sit at the easel and work, that is the best time. Lou said, your top 10 acrylic painting mistakes video really helped me out. Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. How do I think school affected your artistic career, like high school? I don't think it made any difference, honestly. I never had, well, maybe not any difference. So when I was I didn't get to take art classes like throughout junior high, like most kids were, just because at my school, our orchestra, like that was your elective. So I didn't take art classes then. As much as I liked art, I just did art on my own. When I was a freshman in high school, there was a beginner, our orchestra now was like separate after an after school thing. So I was able to take an elective for the first time. So I took a beginning art class and I think I got a C in it because the teacher apparently wanted us to shade things like what I'm doing here, but with pencils, except she didn't tell you how to shade or tell you that she wanted to shade. It was, here's the thing, go draw a C. Well, why? I don't know why. Like you have to teach, you're a teacher. bitter old lady. Oh, she was a nasty lady. There was one time I had been working years later, worked on my own because she didn't teach you anything. She just gave you bad grades. So I started learning to do things on my own, and I wanted to join, like figure out how to get into the LA County Fair, which was the area my school would have been a part of. And she said, it's almost possible to do, and walked off. Like she wouldn't even talk to me or help me. And I didn't understand as a kid. Like I just took, oh, she's a teacher, she must know. No, she didn't. That was absolutely not true. If I would have kept looking, looking back, I should have found somebody else who could have helped me reach that goal. Horrible, nasty old lady. I mean, she should not have been around kids. I don't even know how she kept her job, but miserable, I guess, is a better way. She was very unhappy for whatever reason and made sure we all were when we were near her. But, that it didn't discourage me or anything. It was just, I think I could have accomplished more, like getting involved in that sort of thing if I had a teacher who was willing to help or encourage me. She was not. So I didn't take any more art classes there. And then when I changed schools, my junior year in high school, the end of my junior year, I switched schools, and I got to draw. It wasn't an actual course. It's just that I already had the school that I grew up in Claremont, that school was more, I don't know if advanced is the right word, harder. It was a lot harder. So all of the stuff pretty much I did my freshman year was the same stuff they were doing senior year at the other high school. So the other high school, I'd already completed all the courses I needed to, but they couldn't just let me be home, like take off or leave the school early for some reason. So they had me sit through a beginner art class, and they didn't make me I wasn't taking the class. I was just in the class, like as a baby. They were babysitting me, I guess. So anyway, that teacher would just let me draw. He just provided me with the supplies, let me draw, and he saw what I could do. So he had me the following year, my senior year, put me in their AP studio art class where they gave you all the supplies. They didn't teach you anything. That you were just supposed to already know how to do everything. Well, I've been painting and drawing. Well, not painting so much. I've been drawing. There was some watercolor, but for the most part, charcoal and pencil on my own for so many years. They put me in the AP studio art class, and I did really well in there. There I got an A-. And he told me when they gave the class, he goes, we don't give A's in this class. So it's not that you're not doing amazing. He went on and on. He's like, we just don't give A's or A+. So, which was kind of funny. But yeah, that one was great because that one I would say did impact me in a positive way because I was introduced to mediums that I'd never used before. So they would be like, here are colored pencils. It was Prismacolor. Back then they were good. Here are the Prismacolor pencils. Your goal is to draw something like the theme was transparency. Now everyone else is drawing glasses and vases. Oh no, not me. I drew blue transparent tigers. Whatever. But they allowed you to do that. That was what was cool in that class. You could be super creative in anything you wanted to. You just had to stay within a theme. And then you would use these different mediums. So I got to figure out and play with a lot of mediums. Like I said, they were teaching you anything, but they supplied you with, I got to do acrylic painting. I don't think we did oil painting in there. We did oil pastels. We did, different things like that. So I would say that introduced me to a lot of mediums that I wouldn't have otherwise known that I would really like. But that's where I started with acrylics, like really painting with acrylics was in there. So I would say that definitely impacted me just having, and I used to spend my lunch in there. Like I would just stay, a lot of us did in that class because the class was right before lunch. We just keep hanging out throughout lunch and keep painting and drawing. But having the access to those materials really made a difference for me. And then when I started teaching my classes, I pretty much did the same thing. I would let students, everyone was working on something different. You bring to me what you want to draw and I'll just help you, give you tips along the way. Let's see. Oh, I missed a lot of questions. Wayne said, will you use a spray fixative on your background when you finish to preserve it before? No, I won't put any sprays on this until I'm done with the whole thing. Because it doesn't really, a little bit it'll smudge on my finger, but not that much. It's not like using powder blender or pastels or anything like that where it really lifts that much. No, I don't want to rest my hand on it. I'll put glassine as I work to keep from smudging it, but no, I won't spray anything over it. Tamara said, my high school art teacher never gave out A's. Never. She told me once that she would only give out an A to Da Vinci or Rembrandt. That seems so silly. It's such a weird thing. Tamara, I did that one. Solar City Sun, thank you so much for the art videos. Dental school now requires a background in detailed art paintings, drawings, and you helped me so much on that. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. I wonder why. Is it so you can color match? Because my dad's a dental lab technician, so he has to be able to color match teeth so that it looks natural. I wonder if that's why. It's really interesting. Lisa said, I had an art teacher that hated my guts in ninth grade. I didn't take any more art classes either. That really sucks. I had one of my students, so my tea's too far away. One of my students, her name's Marlena. She was actually really good. Like, I could see the skill in this girl, that she would be very good the more she focused and the more she got into it. She was doing great in my class. Well, she had a teacher that she kept having, her art teacher kept telling her that everything she did was terrible. She can't draw. Well, this art teacher, all the art teacher did was abstract crap. Now, I'm not saying abstract is crap. I'm saying hers was crap. This art teacher knew nothing, had no skill in anything. I want to just define that again. I am not saying crap, that abstract itself is crap. This teacher's was. So she didn't know anything about what Marlena was trying to do, more realistic work and that sort of thing. So she was really discouraging to Marlena, who in my class was loving art and then wanted to give up because her teacher kept telling her how terrible she was. So Marlena brings in one day, she was working on a dog. She started the dog in her art class. The teacher tells her she can't draw. That my student Marlena couldn't draw. Everything was terrible. So Marlena brings it to class, like in tears. She's so upset because she says that it was wrong. And the teacher came and erased something Marlena did and redrew it for her. She redrew it so the perspective was horrible. This is the art teacher. She's erasing students' work and making it worse. Are you kidding me? This woman was terrible. I guess she ended up having a lot of complaints from the teacher. She was young too, a younger one who apparently was quite full of herself. But yeah, I later, after I moved to Texas, and so I worked with Marlena right up until I moved in 2007, 2008. So I talked to Marlena's mom years later, and yeah, Marlena gave up on art altogether when she was left alone with this. I almost swore on my video. I have bad names for this lady. I think there's a special place in hell for someone who discourages another artist. I don't care if that artist is good or bad. You discourage somebody who is otherwise enjoying themselves, there's something wrong with you, not that artist. So she gave up altogether to this day. And Marlena was doing good. And even her mom recognized that she was doing good with it. And I mean, we're not saying Marlena would have ended up having to be a professional artist, but it was something that she enjoyed. It was a hobby that she was doing really good with, that her mom had her in classes for years with me. And like I said, Marlena was doing really, really well. So that's what was so frustrating. She was a preteen, but when I started working with her, she was in high school. I want to say she was a sophomore or a junior in high school by the time I moved. So I worked with her for years. But yeah, that one teacher just ruined all the fun for somebody who was enjoying it. Again, she probably wouldn't have been a professional artist just because I don't think she was that interested in it. Making sure I'm not rubbing my nose with graphite on my hand. But yeah, that to this day, I'm still pretty not happy about that. Lauren said, okay, that one. Kyle said, my most impressive video by far was the Dendro game show video. That wasn't my video. That was your video. That was a fun video. Lou said, that teacher sounds really tough. I've heard so many horror stories from bad art classes. I feel lucky that my high school teacher really cared and worked with us to help us improve. Yeah, that's, like I said, the one teacher I had at the end, my senior year there, he was great. His name was Dennis Garcia. I wish I could find him because I'd love to tell him, like, your class really did, like, it helped me. It helped me pattern how I taught my classes. It helped me learn, play with different mediums to see if I even liked them. It was kind of like Smart Art Box every day. He was really cool. Cavium said, I had one teacher be pretty chill and one be kind of chaotic. Still wish he would have told me to cut my paper into a size I can frame instead of a random size. I don't know why they don't stress that. Like, it seems like it's such a simple thing. Maybe I should make a video about that. But if you can work in a standard size, it's so much easier to frame your work. But sometimes you need a weird size. Like this one, it required a weird size. So I'm going to have to, what I'll do though, and here's a tip for you. So you did a graphite drawing like I'm doing here. This is an odd size. I'm not going to be able to buy a pre-made cut mat for this. It wouldn't fit into a standard size frame. So what I'm going to do is take a frame that doesn't fit this. It's too large, but I'm going to have the mat cut. The mat on the outside edge will be standard and the opening inside will not. So I'm going to have a little bit thicker on the top and the bottom than I do the sides. But if it's even all the way around, it just looks intentional. So it's a way that you can have an odd size. Now you do have to have the mat custom sized. So with me, I have a mat cutter. I do it myself. But before that, I used to just have a Hobby Lobby do it. And it was, I want to say I paid $20 for a simple black mat It's back there still. The inside, because it was a real weird, long, skinny one, but it was long. So it had to fit into a 24 by 30 inch frame. The artwork, though, was maybe 12 inches by, I'd say, 28. So it was like almost like that widescreen that you used to, widescreen movie type things. But that long, skinny with the bars on the top of the bottom is pretty much what this artwork looked like. But it worked. And so it's a way that you can mount something into a standard size frame that isn't standard sized artwork. I actually just had that question on Patreon today. D. Lynn Creative Art said, my son's middle school teacher always told him he wasn't trying just because she didn't like his work. Art wasn't his thing. He can speak 7 languages. Oh, wow. But art doesn't come easy. And it's not, that's how it's going to be for some people. That's fine. I mean, math, I can paint and draw. Don't ask me to add or subtract or just read numbers accurately. We all have different things that we're definitely better at. That's funny, though. Then you get the people who are like, they assume that you must not be good at things in general if you're not good at one thing in general. Silly people. Some people really shouldn't be teachers. Zach said, did you have friends who did art, or were you doing art by yourself and such? I had one friend who never was good, but she had fun. Like, she never took it serious enough that she tried to be good. But we would sit, like, growing up when we were kids, from, like, what was that, 5th grade all through high school. Now, it was, 5th grade, I'd say through junior high, she would do art with me. After that, she really wasn't interested. She was really good softball player. She was a pitcher. So, like, freshman, she was our main pitcher at our high school. She was really, really good. Did that for as long as I knew her, when she was younger, then got the full ride to, where did she go? Northridge. But she would do, when we were kids, she would draw and paint with me. But she never got to where she would take it seriously, where like never intended to go anywhere with it. Actually, I didn't at the time. I just took it seriously. I didn't realize I would turn it into a career. But yeah, she used to paint and draw with me. I can't remember any other friends when I was younger. Then as an adult now, I've had friends who will come over and draw while I work. So I guess I've gone back to being a child. Lauren said, just found your reference photo. Wow, it's beautiful. Love the background. I know, isn't it pretty? I didn't even look to see who the photographer was. It's an amazing photo. And it was one of those that was photographed so well with the highlights. Not all photographs make for good black and white work because of the way the colors are. If you don't have enough contrast between your lights and your darks, it's probably not the best choice for black and white. I mean, it can be done, but it won't be super impressive. This one looks amazing, color or black and white. Like, really like this photo. Oops, and not just scroll too far. 1 second. If you guys have not already, if you could hit the like button, if you could share this on your Facebook page or anything like that, it helps me out a lot. YouTube's algorithm, well, it sucks. They don't even notify subscribers anymore that things came through or went live. But if you can do those things, it tells YouTube that people like the video and then they share it with more people. So it really helps me out if you can do that. Let's see. Rick's Artwork said, one of my shoulder chickens once pooped on a piece. Oh no, I was working on. Luckily, it wasn't for a long time. So sometimes water hitting my art is the least of my worries. It's so funny. So the end of the video that went up yesterday, I was laying on the floor sketching and I wanted Chicken to come stand on my paper. And if he pooped on it, I was going to make a comment about poop not being archival. But Chicken he was so wound up. He's like running around. You can see at the end of the video, his crest is up and everything. And he just kept circling me. He was just running all over. He was too excited to like sit and hang out while I was drawing like he normally might. Because I thought I was using crappy paper. Crappy. So if he crapped on it, it didn't matter. But he didn't do that. I thought it would be funny if he did, but I was using paper, nothing I was taking seriously because I figured he would probably poop on it because, he's a chicken. Chickens poop everywhere. For people who are like, wow, you have a pet chicken. He's a cockatiel named Chicken. In my world, all birds are chickens. Shoulder chicken, sky chicken, water chicken. I have a patio chicken. Is he out there right now? I'm sure he is. I don't see him. I have a bird. It's a Eastern phobie. Is that how you say it? I don't know. He's adorable. He eats bugs. And every night he comes and perches on my, he's probably on the other side. He perches on my string lights and hangs out all night. Like I can go out there and water my plants and he just looks at me and watches me. Any other bird out there, if there's ever birds during the day, they fly away when they see me. They get all scared. Not this one. He is my patio chicken. He loves me. He lets me talk to him. So cute. I don't even know how much graphite or, pencil I'm going to use on this one. The graphite powder is just working so well for this soft look that I'm trying to get. I bet once I start in with the pencils, I'll come back and touch stuff up. But I may as well get as much as I can with this. Where was I just working? Let's see. Michael Perry. Hi, Michael. I haven't talked to you in a while. Said, viewed your pencil shading video. It was so great and worth all your work. Now, when it comes to supplies, we spend dollars on designer coffee and smartphones. So buy quality. Yes, you're so right. Yeah, the quality of your supplies. And so that's what I was trying to do with the budget, like art on a budget or, budget supplies. Still be archival, still be professional, but not cost you an arm and a leg. And I mean, generally the lesson there is just get less supplies, like less colors, less whatever, but stay with archival. But you're right. It's funny the things that we put money into and then things that like it makes a big, big difference on. We're like, meh, I'm gonna not. Although for some of us, coffee is very important. Not me though, so much as I just used to drink cheap coffee. Let's see. Our Jitter said, your tips have helped revolutionize my art. Mainly, you'll never get better sticking with beginner work overnight. I went from landscapes to portraits. Thank you. That is awesome. So if you guys don't know what he's talking about, or she actually don't know, if you don't know what they're talking about, with what I'm always trying to tell everybody, don't stick with tutorials for beginners. If you want to stay a beginner, stick with beginner tutorials. Now, that's not that beginner tutorials are bad. Do them to get started. But after, 2, 3, 4, 5 beginner things, you better have moved on by then. If you stay with beginner stuff because you think you're a beginner, you will always be a beginner. If you want to get advanced, you need to jump into the hard stuff. Now, that doesn't mean that jumping into something advanced instantly means you're more advanced, but that's how you get there, is doing things that seem too hard. That's what he's talking about there. She's talking about there. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, and not scroll too far. Oh, thanks, Blue Tea Art. Said, this is for you, Lisa. Thanks for everything. Thank you. See, now I can buy coffee. That just scrolled too far, I think, though. There we go. Vic said, what paper and brushes do you recommend for watercolor pencils? I have Pentel Aqua Brush. My favorite is the, Arches Hot Press watercolor paper. I get it in the blocks. That is my absolute favorite. It's also like the most expensive paper that I use. Worth it, but it's very expensive. Any watercolor paper, ideally a hot press watercolor paper, is what you want to go with though. Let's see. And for the brushes, I like Taklon bristle brushes for watercolor pencils. So like these guys, this is one of them. It's just a good stiffness. I don't typically like watercolor brushes for watercolor pencils. I find that they work better with a slightly more stiff brush than you would use for traditional watercolor. And that for me is the Taklon bristle brushes. Solar Sun said, I'm Spicy Cake from Instagram. Oh, okay. I do remember you. I remember saying Spicy Cake a lot the other night. I need to do more of those Instagram lives. That was fun. Rambling about my fish for an hour. Cavium said, I've been attempting to lucid dream for the past 3 days. When I'm successful at one point, I'll probably make gigantic paintings or something. It's funny, the lucid dreaming. I had that today when I took my nap before the work. It's funny that you bring that up because I had it like super lucid dream where my dogs ran away. Like somebody opened the door and let my dogs get out. And if you know anything about sighthounds, you do not let a sighthound off leash outside, unless it's an enclosed background or backyard or whatever. And in my dream, somebody let them out. And my whole dream, like I'm chasing after them, trying to catch them before like they get hit by a car. But I kept thinking, well, it's a dream. So, I mean, if they do get hit by a car, I'll just wake up. I'm like, what an odd, when I woke up, I was like, wow, I'm glad I realized that. So it wasn't as terrifying as it would have been if I thought the dream was real. But that was kind of funny. And it wasn't until that point I realized it was a dream when I started thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to see my dogs hurt. Phoebe. Okay, it is Phoebe. So it looks like it's spelled backwards. It looks like Phoebe, but spelled with O and E, but I'm glad you told me. Okay, an Eastern Phoebe. That I can remember. Whatever. Patio chicken. Let's see. What is 10 plus 9? 3. Solar Sun. Okay, got that one. Whoops, here we go. Thank you, Tamara. Wow, you guys are like amazing with these super chats. I appreciate it. Ooh, more coffee. Let's see. And just as a reminder, if you guys aren't doing the @Lachri fine art, if your question doesn't highlight my name in orange, I don't see it. It's not that I'm trying to ignore you. It's just that I won't see it. Because most of the time, whenever I try to read something where it's not highlighted, I end up taking things out of context because it was a English conversation between you guys, or like amongst yourselves. Let's see. Lauren says, I have shoulder guinea pigs. Literally, they both sit on my shoulders. I've been lucky and have only had one accident. Just my baby pig popping through my paper. Oh my gosh. Or pooping on my paper. Oh my gosh. Ursi says, thanks for the live stream tonight. It brightens everything up. Oh, thank you. Thanks for joining. Tammy said, YouTube actually let me know that the live stream was tonight. Nice. And the reminder even worked. That is so cool. See, and I think that they let you know, like and I know this is how Facebook is. I'm not sure if that is true with YouTube, but I know with Facebook, like if there's a page that you like their artwork or they're selling, I don't know, Scentsy, I might have an addiction, that you like, if you comment and like the post, you're more likely to have those posts shared with you in the future. And I wonder if YouTube's doing that. I'm not sure though. Okay. Lovely Lou, for this portrait, are you using a kneaded eraser? Because I've heard that kneaded erasers are easier to use with graphite than other erasers. I am. I've got it rolled in a ball, and see all these little circles? I got that by just pushing on it. Now, this is graphite powder, and graphite powder erases easier than your graphite pencil. So keep that in mind, but it worked really well. Let's see. Vladimir said, do you recommend any projectors? If so, what is the amount of lumens a projector must have? What resolution should you set the projector at? Okay, so here's the funny thing with projectors. So I spent like $800 on mine, or $850. I don't know, too freaking much. Years ago, I was like, I'm finally going to upgrade. I'm going to get a really good one. It is a good one. It's Artgraph, I think, makes it. But it's the same exact model minus a slight software change as the LG for like an extra few $100s because of a software adjustment. My friend got the LG one and just figured out how to make the software, like it worked good enough for her. And so she saved a few $100s or two. I forget what the details were. But the Artgraph one, I don't even think it's available anymore. I haven't researched since then, so I can't really give you any good information. Almost any projector, as long as the projector can give you a still image, and that's what you want to watch, that they will let you, there's a way to either hook it up to your computer, an SD card, or some kind of USB drive, something where you can put the image on and have it come up still. Any of them, honestly, today should be good enough. So I don't think you need to spend $800. That's for dang sure. Like that was kind of pricey. And by kind of, I mean, holy crap, that cost a lot. I'm just going to take a clean one and smudge this a little bit where it was getting a little harsh in there. So yeah, I can't tell you exactly which one because I haven't researched any of the newer ones. Draw with Nash said, what is the best medium to practice realism besides pencils and acrylics? I wouldn't say there's a best medium. Any medium can be used for that. So I would definitely not say that there's a best. Artistry of Rock said, I enjoy drawing and painting, and everyone who sees my art says it's amazing, but I struggle with procrastination and just don't feel like doing it sometimes. How do I deal with the issue? Well, are you doing it for fun, or are you doing it because you want to make it a job? In my case, it's my job. So even if I'm not in the mood to paint or draw, it doesn't matter. I have to go paint or draw. I've got Patreon videos that have to go up. Like I have to have my Patreon videos every single week, whatever is going up that week, has to be edited by Saturday. Like I have to finish the project by Friday. So if that means I don't sleep Friday, it means I don't sleep Friday. And those of you on Patreon, you're like, oh, that's why she kept stumbling over her words. I just thought she was drunk. No, I was just didn't get any sleep because I was trying to hit a deadline. But no, if it's a job in that case, and that lets me have it ready for them by the fall, like I usually upload Tuesdays, but you have to make yourself. I mean, if it's a job, it's like going to work. How many of you, let's say you work, like when I worked at the animal hospital, I never was in the mood to go to work. Ever. There was never a single time in the history of times that I wanted to go to work. Or when I worked at a pet store, or, I never wanted to be there. I needed to pay my bills. And it's the same with art. And for some reason, though, artists who are wanting to make a living out of it don't look at it that way. They're trying to combine hobby and job, and it doesn't work. It's not the same thing. If you're making it a job, it's a job. You go to work. You don't just, when I'm in the mood to go to work. except for some of these ladies who work at my husband's work who are literally doing that. I don't know how they haven't gotten fired sooner. But anyway, that's what it comes down to. I said, like, from this hour to this hour, I'm going to be working on this. From this hour to this hour, I'm going to work on this. And you just make yourself do it. If it's a hobby that's different, you've got a little bit more freedom and you don't want to burn yourself out. So I get that. But sometimes you may not be in the mood to do something. And once you get there and start working, that puts you in the mood for it. So, I mean, there have been times where I didn't really want to go to a concert because I would rather play myself. It's hard for me to listen to other musicians. I was just like, I want to be on stage. I want to play. I used to play in bands. So I do the whole, I don't really want to go. I don't really want to do it. But then I get there and it's like, oh, this is actually fun. I'm glad I came. And it's the same with art. You have to show up. You have to get there before it's going to be fun, or you're never going to be in the mood. Like that rare, well, no, I won't say never, just not that often. So, I mean, that's a way to look at it, is just show up, just go do it. And the mood may strike then. Let's see. Tamara said, it just scrolled too far, her comment to the super chat, because you're so awesome. And the teacher all of us wanted to have when we were young. Oh, thank you. Heather said, I want a travel set of Inktense. Oh, nice. What brushes do you use with them? So Inktense is the same with watercolor pencils for me. I like Taklon bristled filbert, or not Taklon bristled. I like Taklon. Some filbert, a lot of rounds. Rounds I really like. I usually with Inktense also have a mop brush, or in this case, a blush brush, but something like that in case I get a little crazy and I need to sop some of that paint off or spread it out. I'll use that occasionally. I also really like, and I think I have some down here. Yeah, water brushes. So this one is Faber-Castell. I really like the ones by Derwent too. And so what these are, you just squeeze it and a little bit of water comes out. These are, and I think your set should have come with one of these. When I use the travel set, I just use that because that's kind of the point of the travel set. Limited, you don't want to carry around a bunch of stuff, and this holds water. So and again, this one's Faber-Castell, so this one's green. The Derwent ones are white. They both work beautifully. So that one is really good. But the one that came in that set, with that set, should work fine for you. Drow with Nash said, do you have old sketchbooks and look back at them and think, wow, yes, I do. And not just sketchbooks, just even paintings. Like, I'll go back and look at my old websites, because you use like the Wayback Machine, and I look at some of those paintings and it's like, whoa, I had an old Angel Fire website, but I look at those and think, I can't believe, like, if you would have told me then, shown me back 20 years ago, my artwork today, I never would have believed I'd reached that point. So I'm really excited to see what happens in another 20 years, because I just I had that attitude for a long time. Meh, it's just my style. No, that's just your laziness. Learn how to paint and draw better. In my case, that's what it was for me. Like telling myself, you were just it was an excuse to not do better. Once I started putting in more effort, the difference in my work was huge, huge. Let's see. Lauren Shelton said, I went to my local Michael's and they had a massive sale and I got a 12 set of the Derwent Color Soft pencils for $13. How do you use them? And if so, do you have any tips? Keep them for your sketchbook. With Derwent Color Soft, they're really not good for trying to do a lot of detail work. They're very, very waxy. I have a review on here. Funny story, actually, if you aren't aware of this. When I did the review of the Derwent Color Soft, so I got the full set thinking it's Derwent. It's a good brand. I trust Derwent. These will be great. It's waxy, but not like Prismacolor is a soft wax. The Derwent Color Soft, it was like this hard waxiness that I couldn't get the color saturation. Not everything, but almost everything was coming out grainy and gritty. I couldn't smooth things out, whether I burnished, whether I layered just with the pencil itself, whether I used OMS. Nothing with these pencils was good. What those pencils I think are really good for is quick layout, like a quick loose sketch, like a design. Maybe you're designing clothing or something, that quick sketch. Great for sketchbooks. For trying to do photorealism, they're not good at all. Again, sketchbook, perfect for quick sketches. But for the way that I work with colored pencil, not my choice at all. And it was funny because I made that video and I was making some jokes bashing them, and I still feel a little bad. Like, I try not to do that now. What am I saying? I joke about everything. But anyway, I get an email. The video had only been up for a couple of days. And I get an email from Derwent. Like, it was like attention or a reason, your color soft video or something. I'm like, they're going to ask me to take it down. Like they're going to have some reason that I need to get this video down. No, and I have so much more respect for this company because of this. They were basically like, we're sorry you don't like our supply, this thing. Have you tried these? We saw you like Inktense. Well, we'd love to send you a bunch of Inktense to do this. They sent me the Inktense pencils in the nice wood box and then the Inktense blocks. And then I've been working with them ever since on videos occasionally. They flew me to Salt Lake City to demonstrate at their what's it called? It was National Arts Association, National Art, I forget, some art event for vendors. They hired me to paint the cover of their Inktense tins. I mean, this company cares what artists think. So unlike Prismacolor, who was like, oh, you don't like our supplies? Meh, whatever. We don't really care that artists say that our supplies went downhill. Derwent, on the other hand, is like, we want to make it better. We want to make supplies that artists like. And they listen to us. So they made the Derwent Pro Color, which I love how they feel. But the big thing was all the artists are like, but they're not all light fast. Like half of the set almost aren't light fast. So what did Derwent do in response? They made another set of pencil that works almost and feels very similar to the Pro Color. Every one of them was light fast. Ow. So Derwent listens to artists and improves, and I love them for that. Nicest people too. So I really, really like that company, but I don't like Derwent Color Soft at all, except for loose sketches. That was a long story to tell you that. I talk a lot. Let's see. We have next, and that scrolled too far again. Oh, here we go. I think. Am I almost? Have you tried Realism with Crayola supplies? No, and I won't. You know why? They're not light fast. Why would I waste my time on something that won't last? Can it be done? Yeah. Should it be done? No. Why? Why would I? The colored pencil is really slow. So let's go with Inktense. Inktense, not all light fast, but I'm still going to use it anyway because it is a fast medium. I can get great work done that is perfect for prints very, very quickly. Even if I work large, I can get it done quick with Inktense. Colored pencil is slow. If I'm going to spend weeks on a drawing, it better be something I can sell. So for me, that is why I won't. I know YouTubers will do it because they're kind of trendy videos like, oh, Crayola supplies, whatever. Yes, it can be done and it can look amazing, but it is going to fade. And I'm not going to put the time. I mean, I'm a professional artist first, and I'm not going to put the time into something that I know is just crap qualities, if that makes sense. Have I tried Zeta Brown supplies? I don't trust Zeta. So, and I know some people use them and artists use them and like them. I don't trust art companies that come up out of the blue, out of nowhere. It's a company based out of China, I believe. And they're just having other people make the supplies. They didn't okay, talk about Derwent. Derwent does the research on their stuff, whether or not they do all the light fast testing. They do all that. I trust Derwent. They've been around for a long time. I really don't trust Zeta. Their marketing tactics, the way that they're getting influencers or YouTubers to push the products, I just don't believe in, I'm not willing to risk the quality of my artwork on supplies that I don't trust to actually last long term. I don't think that, and then I feel the same about generic supplies in general. So I could say the same about Hobby Lobby generic paints. I won't use them. Absolutely will not use them because you are focused on selling just things for your store. And I've talked to people in Hobby Lobby. They told me this. One of the managers of the art section, he said the art supply section in Hobby Lobby loses them money. They make the least amount of money on that. So they started making their own generic products. Paintbrushes, fine. Actual paint, I don't trust it to be good enough long term because their goal isn't to make quality supplies for artists. It's to get that sale. Same thing with Michaels. Any of you, when you get into the generic art supplies, I won't do it. So that I feel the same about Zeta. I want a company like with Canvases, Frederick's, a company that's been around for a very long time. It's tried, it's tested. We know they're good. We know they stand behind their stuff. And I don't think Zeta is going to. So that's kind of my thing with them. Now, that said, if an artist is on a super strict budget and they want to try a watercolor, go for it. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy them. I'm saying I don't feel comfortable putting my name behind that, if that kind of makes sense. So, for artists, use whatever you can get your hands on. Don't sell it if it's not archival. That I don't promote because you don't want to upset your future customers. But as far as do you just want to paint? You go get whatever supplies you can afford. It will impact your end result. It'll be better with the better supplies. But so I'm not saying don't ever buy them. I'm just saying I'm not comfortable putting my name behind it because I don't really trust them. Let's see. Oh, that's scrolled too far. Started with a C. Here we go. Crystal said, I agree. I used to draw just cartoons like Disney and thought I was not good enough for anything else. Your videos gave me the courage to try realism, which is now my style. That is awesome. That's so good to hear. Let's see. Yeah, somebody else said Artzea is not like that. They don't care. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm not putting my name behind something, because anytime I do something with a company, I mean, I don't need to keep recording this. I'm endorsing it, and I just don't trust them enough to put my name behind it for professionals, for crafters, for somebody, kids. That's totally different. I'm not doing it though. That's just me. Vladimir said, when you went to Mexico, I didn't go to Mexico. I lived near Mexico, or when I was in California, I was in Southern California, but I never went myself. I don't have a passport, so I couldn't go. What art store did you go to? Do they have a big brand like the US? Because I'm going to be going there for university, and I want to know what they have. I have no idea. I've never been. I know Fredericks has a plant there, but I'm not one. Maybe somebody else can answer for you and let you know what's down there. Or Google Maps. I bet if you typed in like art supply on Google Maps for the area you're going to be, I bet you stuff will come up. But I'm really not sure what's there. I don't have a passport, so I'm not able to cross the border anywhere right now. I've never ever left the country. So let's see. Tamara said, do you like Derwent graphite pencils? I've used them for years and I think that they're great, but I was considering trying the Faber-Castell. Is it worth it? Worth it, yes, but here, hold on. Where's my tin? Hold on, let me show you the one that's good. If you have these Derwent graphites, so they improved their formula a few years back. If you have these ones, these are amazing, and I definitely think they're up to par with the Faber-Castell 9000. So if you've got these, you're fine. The older set of Derwent's, their old graphic pencils, they would get those little rock nuggets. Like the formula just wasn't as good. But when they made these new ones, these definitely, I would say, are on par. And the thing that's cool about these range, it's on the front, these go from a 9H up to a 9B. You've got a huge variation in the hardness of the pencils, more than you get with the Faber-Castell. So if you have these, I mean, these are a good pencil. Faber-Castell are usually my go-to. I feel like they're a little bit smoother, but they are both excellent. Those are my top two pencils, the Derwent Graphics and the Faber-Castell for graphite. The thing that I liked about the Caran d'Ache pencils, I don't have any out here, but I never find myself reaching for them. They weren't quite as smooth to blend as the Faber-Castell. I didn't like them as much. What I did like about them is the casings varied from light gray to dark gray depending on which pencil it was. It was so easy to grab which one you wanted. With these, they are all in the same thing with the Derwent. They're all the same. So you've got to read this tiny little thing in gold. Good luck seeing that. Okay, it's a 4B, I think, to grab the right pencil, and it wastes a bit of time. And I wish every pencil company would do what Caran d'Ache did by shading the whole outside of the pencil, the value that it is. The Caran d'Ache, I think, are just overpriced. I don't think that for graphite, I don't really see any benefit to spend as much as what Caran d'Ache charges for those. I love the outside of the pencil being filled in. They're a little bit thicker too. I love the outside of the pencil being the color it is. I'm not going to pay extra for that though. Well, I would if it was Faber-Castell or Derwent, honestly. But I think that they're extremely overpriced for a graphite pencil for not performing any better than these. Or actually, I would say these, the Derwent and the Faber-Castell, I personally like the performance of better. Which surprised me. I thought I would like the Caran d'Ache better because their colored pencils are like, really at top of the line, amazing. How many times am I going to say, I should cut that from my vocabulary tonight. But it's those two, these ones in the Derwent are definitely my favorite. Let's see. Whoops, there we go. Would I in the future do an illustration book? Definitely support and draw your book. Probably not, because I have a friend who wrote the Colored Pencil Bible, and then what was her other one? The Aliona Nicholson. It's in front of me over there. Colored Pencil Painting Portraits book. She wrote both of those. The amount of work that went into that, if I were to do any kind of a book, I wouldn't be able to keep doing my artwork as it is, because I already don't have days off. So if I were to add one more thing, something else has to give. And maybe in the future, the day will come that's something that I want to do. But unfortunately, because I used to really want to write a book, some tutorials and stuff, and it just isn't practical. I can't do both. So, which sucks, because too bad. If I didn't need to sleep, if I could get rid of sleeping altogether, I've got some hard bits I'm going to start softening out here. But if I could get rid of sleeping, I could get a book written. Yeah, I was even taking photos of my work a lot more to use for future, do even an ebook or something. And it was just I can't there's no time. What brand of oil paint do you recommend? So I don't want to say I recommend, like, it's not like this is the best oil paint in the history of oil paint. I've just been using Winsor & Newton Winton colors are probably the ones I use the most now, just because they're easy to get. I can go to any local art supply store. Everyone carries them. And I started with them. Actually, I started with the Winton colors, so the even cheaper ones. I like the artist, sorry. Winton color are the cheap one. Winsor & Newton artist oils are the ones that I like the best of those. But Grumbacher is even better. I just haven't invested in a lot of the paints. Those are good. I really like the texture. Old Holland, is that one? That one, when I tried the samples, that was a really good one. Yeah, those are, I mean, but if you're just looking for something that's easy to get and you're getting started on them, the Winsor & Newton are a good place to start because they're also way less expensive than some of the fancier paints. There definitely is a difference in like the Winton color versus the artist color. The Winton color, which is the cheaper one, it's hard. You have to fit it out quite a bit with I use liquid. With the Winton color, they tend to be a little bit more soft, kind of buttery. I keep saying Winton color, the artist color. Winton color is the cheap one. The more expensive one, the artist color. That one has that more buttery finish to it or feel to it when you paint. But those are what I use just because they're easy to get, not necessarily because they're the best in the history of paints. Lady Marigold said, by the way, it's pronounced Artzea. Artezea. Just remember you like art and tea. I'm not remembering that. I don't care enough for the company to bother remembering it. Oh, I have an attitude. I'm sorry. Artesia. Yeah, I'm not going to remember. I'm going to keep saying it wrong and make a fool of myself. I'm good at that. Let's see. Am I scared to travel? I just don't like it. I don't feel well. When I travel, it makes everyone sleepy and tired when they travel, but because my fibromyalgia being as bad as it is, while I got the pain under control, the fatigue, I've never been able to put a dent in. So like once a year I go stay with my parents, I will be exhausted. I will basically be a walking zombie the whole week I'm there. So I don't enjoy travel just because of the fatigue involved in it. It just makes me too tired, so I don't really enjoy myself. Tamara said, I have an even older set than that one. Not too many stones, but we'll try the Faber-Castell ones. Thank you. Yeah, and when you get, it's worth upgrading. Like I got rid of, or I keep them for loose sketches. I still have some of my original graphite pencils from Derwent, but the difference is these ones the newer ones are way better too. Beek said, do you recommend Derwent Inktense pencils in conjunction with Derwent watercolor pencils? I don't know why you would need to mix the two. I really don't see any benefit to it because when I paint with Inktense, it's a bit different than how I paint with watercolor because the watercolor will lift, like you can lift that if you keep doing a lot of glazing and working over it. With the Inktense, I can glaze it and use it a little bit more like acrylics. So I'm going to do the two of them a bit, like I'm going to work them differently. Hold on. Is somebody trying to get in my door? If my husband is home, he can't get in. So let me make sure he's not texting me to open the door. Nope, it's my sister again texting me. She knows I live stream. Nope, not her. Or not husband. Anyway, so where was I rambling about? They can be used together. I just don't know why you would. I don't really see personally any benefit to using the two. Let's see. Whoops. The Michaels in New York, Joseph said, is no longer carrying Wintons or any airbrush supplies. I scoff at them now. Oh, wow. Yeah, Michaels more and more. And Hobby Lobby's doing the same. Most of these bigger art supply stores, the bigger chains, at least in my area, we don't have Jerry's or Dick Blick, unfortunately, out here. I have to order online. But I do order most of my supplies online because a lot of these stores, they're not carrying name brands. They're carrying their generic crap. Like I said, the one guy had told me that they lose too much money in that department. So that's why they're doing their own generic crap to increase the income there. And it's like, yeah, but you're actually losing money in the long run. And this is what these companies, and Michaels used to do. I used to work for Michaels. They used to do, just heard something. What am I listening to? Michaels used to do this too. They didn't understand the big picture. So you have a department that's not making you as much money, but it's getting people into the store because you're the only person who has that supply. And then they buy stuff in all your other departments. I'm not going into your store at all anymore, buying anything from any department because I have to buy it all online. So a lot of these stores are just, they're not looking at that big picture of the overall sales. Michaels really shot themselves in the foot because back in March of 2008, they got rid of all of their fine art classes. They're like, meh, we don't really make a lot of money on the classes, so we're not going to have them anymore. Okay, well now you're also not going to sell the art supplies that go with the classes. Like they just didn't look at the big picture of how everything is connected. They're just looking at the one thing and not all the things that you know, the cause and effect. Michael's used to make some really, really stupid choices where the managers or the DMs would come in and their new plans and their new ideas. It's like, I can tell you have never worked like, you don't understand how these things work. You're shooting yourself in the foot, basically. Anyway, Danae said, I have a line drawing on newsprint and it was going to transfer it to my canvas. The problem is that I've already coated my canvas in such a dark oil. Can I use white charcoal instead? Yeah, I use white charcoal all the time. That should work for you. Whoops. Oh my gosh, I'm missing much. Here we go. Brandy said, you guys have tons of great questions. Like, these are new questions we've never covered before too. This is great. Have you ever heard of Hi-Uni Mitsubishi graphite pencils? I totally just butchered that. I'm sorry. Mitsubishi, I knew. I've heard of Mitsubishi pencils. I know they have them, but no, I've not used them. I was reading up on different popular brands and found this brand mentioned a lot, and they were usually good reviews. I've not tried them. You have to let me know if you do. Krishna said, have you also tried pastel pencils? I've tried them, but I don't like them because the feel of pastel on my hands freaks me out. Like, I am a crazy person and it absolutely freaks me out. So no, not for me. I like pan pastels because it didn't make my hands feel all gross, but regular pastels, I just can't stand. Again, I'm not Raptorial type. Pressy said, any thoughts on Montmartre art supplies? I've never heard of them. So apparently my thoughts are, you guys need to advertise more because I've not heard of them. Tamara said, great stream. Thank you as always. Thanks for joining, Tamara. Krishna said, for many, many years, I've been struggling with sharpening my pencils. How can I sharpen my pencil easily? Which kind of pencil? Because that's going to make a difference. But for me, if it's a good pencil, let's see if any of these are dull enough. Oh, that one's really dull. That needs to be sharpened. 8B, that makes sense why. So what I'm going to do, I just use a little, actually this is an old toothpaste cup, or not toothpaste, like toothbrush holder, but it's heavy so it doesn't get knocked over easily. And it was a pretty color, even though mine's filthy because of the pencil. But I just sharpen, I hold everything over it, so you're not going to see that really. But I put my pencil in. Now, ideally, you want to turn the sharpener, not the pencil, because you're more likely to break the pencil. In colored pencils, if you're using a colored pencil like Prismacolor that's real prone to breakage, that's an issue. Although a electric sharpener with Prismacolor is definitely the safer way to go. But you're going to turn. I usually am lazy and I turn on both directions, but I'm going to turn as I sharpen. I mean, that's it. It's these little handheld. This one's the Faber-Castell, I believe. Yeah, this one's by Faber-Castell. I also use sharpeners, the little metal ones like that by Coom. They're perfectly fine. Now, if they get to where your pencils are starting to break, your blades do not last forever. And these do have to be replaced every so often, or you can unscrew. Some of them will sell just blade replacements. You have to replace those with sharper ones if you are having a hard time. So it may be an issue of your sharpeners are just too dull. Where did we go? Vladimir said, oh, sorry, I got mixed up because in a video you mentioned Faber-Castell eraser from Mexico. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, no, those are these, but the green one that I have, which I don't think I have one over here, are from Mexico. Somebody sent them to me. Actually, if you guys remember, Conejo, he's the one who sent those to me. He got me hooked on those. Also, should a new student approach art school, university, especially with paying? If you've got expendable income, go for it. If not, don't put yourself into debt for it. That's for sure. I don't really agree with putting yourself into debt for most things with college. It's a huge crisis in this country right now. And I don't know where you're located, but here, if you have to pay, like people are putting themselves in debt, like $200,000 for a degree in history or something else. And then they can't find work and they're still working the same minimum wage job as the person who is not in debt. You've got to, if you're going to go to school, you have got to be smart, either pay for it outright. So maybe you have to work 3 jobs for a while, save up, and then go to school. That's one way to do it. But people are putting themselves so far into debt that they can't afford to live. Like it's a real problem. We're giving school loans to people for degrees that they should not be taking out. There are certain things that you're not easily going to be able to make a living from certain degrees, yet they're going insanely in debt to get a degree that they can't then make a living for. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, obviously a doctor, you're going to make a living with it. There's certain things you obviously will, and you have to go to school to do, but With art, not necessary. If you've got expendable income or your parents are paying for it, great. If you want to go for the experience, great. It's no guarantee that you're going to make a living afterwards at all. The one artist that I knew, and she used to like to run around, I have a degree in art. I have a degree in art. She was so prissy. You just want to smack her. Like, would you just stop? But I have a degree in art. And you're working at Macy's. And occasionally as my assistant in the classes I teach, and I don't have a degree in art. So, having that degree, that piece of paper, doesn't guarantee a job. So it depends on what you want to do with it. I'm not saying there's no value in going in school. I'm saying don't put yourself in debt to do it for a career that doesn't have a set. I mean, you get a degree in medicine, you're going to get a job. You get a degree with nursing, you're going to get a job. Those ones make sense. But with art, just don't go into debt for it would be my biggest thing. That's a big, big problem. And a lot of people, unfortunately, these kids coming out of high school and going into college aren't being told that. They're not being taught, hey, by the way, getting a degree in poetry or whatever random, theater, you're probably not going to get a job to pay back this debt. You're going to forever have a debt you are going to struggle to get rid of. So I wish that they would really sit down with these kids and explain, by the way, this is a hard career to make a living in. So when you go $200,000 in debt, was it worth it? Or maybe go to a trade school or, I don't know. People just need to think of other options because it's really sad to see how many kids are getting so painfully far in debt and can't make a living off the degrees that they get. And like I said, with art, you don't need a degree in art to make a living with it. So I'm on this whole not going into debt thing, just watching the numbers of how in debt these college kids are is just painful. What a way to start your life, or adult life. D-Lynn Creatives Art said, it's nice to hear that I'm not the only one who struggles with fatigue with fibro. Feels like I'm always trying to keep up to all the energized people around me. Yeah, yesterday was a hard one for me. I had a really hard time functioning yesterday. That sucked. That was not fun at all. No amount of caffeine. And I can't drink much caffeine or I don't feel well. So it wasn't even just have more coffee. I get 2 cups a day max. And I've been cheating lately and having a little extra. Oh, I've been paying for it. I've not been feeling well. So yeah, yesterday really hit me. I have to back off the caffeine. That's for sure. Back to 2 cups a day. Josephine said, a buddy and I are renting a booth in a fair in the fall. Any suggestions? Okay, text speak is too hard to read. I'm sorry, sweetie. I can't read this. I'm too old for text speak. I need full words. I'm trying to transpose here at the same time, and that just went too far. Oh, wait, I just got a super chat. Oh, thanks, Kyle. Kyle says, friendly reminder from the like police. Oh, my airbrush just went out. Please like and share this video. It helps out the channel and helps others to find it. Do the right thing here. Thanks, Kyle. And yes, please like and share and comment. Comment when the video normal goes up. It really does help me out. So back up to these questions. Okay. I'm having a hard time reading your text speak, but I think you're asking if I recommend you get prints through fine. I'm going to recommend, Josephine, if you can rewrite that without text speak, I will be able to understand it better. That is too much for me to transpose right now. Again, I'm old. This is on me. Let's see. Ellie said, Monmarti is a common brand in... I don't know what the rest of that sentence was. It stopped. Anything Coffee said, did you try the Facebook out? No, not Facebook. I see FB and think Facebook. I'm tired. Can you tell? I can't even read text speak at all right now. The Albrecht watercolor pencils. Yeah, I like Derwent Inktense, but I have no comparison. I'm looking to invest into a big set of watercolor pencils, but I don't know which to go with. Any advice? So the Faber-Castell, a lot of people kept telling me, well, the Faber-Castell are permanent, like Inktense. They're not. They lift, which is good. I don't need another set of Inktense. I've got Inktense. The Faber-Castell watercolor pencils they're a great watercolor pencil. They dissolve beautifully. Oh my gosh. When you add the water, they dissolve. So it looks like watercolor. You can still layer with them like you can a normal watercolor pencil, but I had a very easy time lifting color back up like traditional watercolor. Beautiful to work with. Huge, huge fan. You're going to get different effects than you would with the Inktense because of the way that you can lift some of that color back up. So I really liked them. But let's see. What do we have next? Peggy sadly said, how do you determine what percentage of your income goes back into purchasing art supplies? I just buy what I need. if I need it, that is kind of priority. I mean, paying bills are a priority, but I can't pay my bills if I can't make the videos because I'm out of supplies. So for me, because it is my job, those supplies come first. I mean, within reason. Like I wanted this big, stupidly expensive easel, which I love, and I'm so glad I did. I had to save for most of last year to get this and then use Christmas money on top of it. So it's not like I can just go buy anything that crosses my mind. But as far as like the must-haves, the paint, the pencils, paper, all of that, that pretty much comes first. If I need it, I buy it. Now, if it's just, I want to try this different type of paper, that I may have to wait on. But like the general things I have to make a video for me, I just buy what I need in those cases. But again, I can't make my videos if I don't have the supplies. And then if I can't make the videos, I can't make money to pay my electricity bill. That is stupid. Total side rant. Reliant changed my plan without notifying me. They're like, oh, we sent you a letter and you agreed to it. No, I didn't. They changed my plan in the middle of the year for some reason. And now my plan 3 times normally I paid $140. My bills have been like $350 since February. This is my fault. I should have caught it right away. They changed the plan without my approval though, and are not calling me back to fix it. They're like, no, you agreed to it. No, I didn't. Well, we have the call. Pull it up. I want to hear it because I did not. I haven't talked to you guys. This is not the first customer service problem I've had. When I first signed up, had a lot of problems with them. And so, yeah, I'm really unhappy with Reliant Energy right now to find out the last 6 months. Now it's my own fault for not catching it back in February when they changed, but it's like they changed my plan without my permission. They just changed it. So frustrated. Anyway, yeah, I have to pay ridiculous electricity bills. So I have to make the videos to make those payments. Anyway, Dealing Creative Art said, also, I noticed the kneaded eraser is almost black. What's the best way to clean it, the graphite out? I don't. You just re-roll it. I mean, yeah, it's almost black, but it still works. So you just kind of pull that apart, mush it back up, and it's going to get cleaned up again. And I can roll it back into the ball. But it doesn't, like, the graphite doesn't really come off much. I don't even think it does come off. Nothing's coming off on the paper when I test it on the clean area. So it can get really dark and be fine. But you just kind of wiggle it back together and stretch it out, and it'll just kind of mix in. Now, if it got to the point where there was so much in there that if I touched it to the paper, graphite was not coming off, I would just get a new eraser. Like, I would use a new one in that case. But I've never had that happen. I use them for years. I'm more likely to lose them before they get to a point where I can't continue using them. Let's see. Ellie said, Australia, they sell good... Oh, I missed the first part. That are not a good... Huh? They sell them in cheap stores. They are not a good brand. Okay, hold on. I have to scroll up to your original. Oh, Monmarty is a common brand in Australia. There we go. Now I can put these together. They sell them in cheap stores. They are not a good brand. Well, that's good to know. So there you go, guys. Now you know. For anyone who is interested in them. Whatever happened to Kaneho? He disappeared. Some people were complaining about him. One of the moderators didn't like him, and then people didn't get his sense of humor, and then I think he maybe got a job. But I haven't heard from him in a really long time. He emailed me once going, okay, I'm done. And he was having to get a different job, and I don't know if that was it, but I haven't heard from him, unfortunately, in a really long time. He was funny. I hope he's doing well. But I know, like, some people didn't get his sense of humor and were kind of like, would be over the top rude to him. But he was rude to them if you didn't know his sense of humor, I guess. So, I don't know. But I haven't talked to him in months. Elaine said, I have the new Derwent pencils, but the 9H is scratchy. Bad or normal? Okay, so what it is, the 9H, that is a super hard lead. I mean, it's almost a diamond. I mean, hard lead. So with that, anytime you get to a lead that hard, it's scratchy because it's so hard. I don't use it too often, and just with a super, super light hand. I may end up using it a little bit when I go through with the lace. We'll see. But no, that one, because it's such a hard lead, it's not, unless yours is defective, it's not so much an issue of it being scratchy as a 9H is insanely hard. I mean, like, it's a rock. You're drawing with a rock. So that's just the nature of a lead that hard. Thanks, Donna. She said, because you're tired, sarcastic, and entertaining. Thank you. Let's see. We have Rick's artwork says, if you were determined, I'll answer these really quick because I'm going to end it. My back is really bugging me, so I don't want to sit here much longer. But if you were determined to go to school for art, I would say, if nothing else, minor in business. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're going, that's the thing that they don't teach you. You go to art school, but they're not teaching you how to sell your art, how to market your art. Take business and marketing. If you really want to do something that benefits your art, take business and marketing. Some art schools have teachers who teach you how to paint better. Almost everyone I talk to who went to art school tells me they learned more from my classes. Like, I've had so many students over the years take my classes and say, I learned more from you in a month than I learned 4 years in college. So, oh my gosh, itchy nose. All this rain, my allergies have been acting all crazy. But anyway, no, good advice. Irvin says, what is your favorite watercolor pencil? I don't know. I would say it's Tornell. Performance-wise, I really love the Derwent watercolor. They're not super light fast. I know that the Caran d'Ache are supposed to be more light fast, and I need to go through and read the results or the review, English, tired. The ratings on the Faber-Castell, but the Faber-Castell in the Derwent watercolor, those ones perform more like watercolor. Both of those perform more like watercolor, whereas Caran d'Ache, which is hilarious because Caran d'Ache says, oh, that was one of their selling points. They try to say it's like a traditional watercolor, not, opaque and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no, they're gouache. Words are so hard. Caran d'Ache watercolor, I love the performance. I love them, but they are more like painting with gouache, and gouache is just opaque watercolor. Whereas your Derwent watercolor and your Faber-Castell watercolor, you have more of that transparency, so it feels more like real watercolor. So that is the difference there. I don't know if I would say favorite. I mean, I would say Faber-Castell just because of I know the light fast ratings are better than Derwent, but performance-wise, I really enjoyed working with both. And then again, if I want something more opaque, you've got those Caran d'Ache ones. So it just depends on what you're looking for. And I can't say that I have a favorite yet. I haven't used any one of them enough times that I can definitely say this is my favorite. I'll have to use them more to make that determination. I like them all, though. That I can definitely say. Solarson said, do you trust any brands from Japan, Korea? How do we determine which companies to trust? I kind of go by what's been around longer. We just know historically that certain brands have performed well over the years, and the companies care that their supplies last and are archival. That's what I'm going by. I'm not really familiar with the only one I know from Japan. I use their Holbein paints, and they're not all of the Holbein not acrylics, the airbrush paint. Not all of them are archival or light fast, so you have to watch that. But I like their airbrush paints. Holbein's been out for a bit. I'm not sure how long, but those ones are the only ones from Japan I've used. I don't trust their colored pencils, though, because they won't give us toxicity ratings. And I'm like, well, if you didn't test for that, did you even test for light fast? I also know Golden's has made comments that other airbrush companies will say that their colors are more light fast than they actually are, because people have contacted Golden's and they're like, well, why is your airbrush paints aren't as light fast as this other company? And they said that the other companies are fudging numbers, that their standards aren't as high. So that basically, so I'm not wording this exact, by the way, but that was essentially the gist of it, is that other companies weren't necessarily as harsh with making sure that everything was super on top of things. So there's that. That's something that I always consider when I choose. I'm like, am I going to use Golden's airbrush tonight or Holbein? But I don't know the other brands just because I'm not from those areas, so I really don't know what's available for you guys. Sydney said, hi, I'm a college student who majors in art, but questioning if I should change to a non-art major because I fear not making money. What do you think I should do? I really don't know. If you talk to artists who did it, and the thing that's hard is I know of a lot of artists who put themselves super in debt for an art degree and they're like, no, it was worth it. Okay, you have to say that, or you don't want to feel dumb that you did something that you in 10 years are still paying back this insane art degree. I guess it depends on how in debt you go. But, I don't know. I can't tell you what's right for you. I can't tell you how to make your choices. I do say if you can get some education in business and marketing, that's going to help you in the long run. But unfortunately, I know of students who are like, well, I'm going to go get a degree in art and then I can teach art in school. There are a lot more people taking art in college, getting a degree in college with the goal of teaching art in school than there are art teacher positions available. By a lot. And you just need to know that. Whenever you're going to put yourself into debt for a degree that will essentially hopefully make you more money, you just got to consider, is it going to make me enough? Is it, I don't know. You got to look at those numbers of what is your potential. And I'm not saying not to be an artist. You can I'm a professional artist. I love my career. I'm glad I chose this path. I was broke for a very long time, but it was worth it in the end. But I didn't have school debt on top of that. And that's the thing that's so hard. That starving artist, you go through these years that it's hard to make a living. And if you've got college debt on top of that, what a headache that would be. So I don't know. Like I said, I can't tell you what the right choice is for you, but there are things that you need to consider. Maybe if you've got a school counselor or somebody like that you can talk to, or maybe an art gallery. Maybe a gallery can give you some idea of, like a good art gallery, not a little one, but like a well-known gallery. See if someone there can give you some advice. Let's see. Answer a couple more questions, then I need to wrap this up. Thanks, Donna. Oh, we've got another one in here. Oh, Letitia said, thank you, Letitia, for the super chat. Said, I study art at night at UYT, University of YouTube, but I can't watch your videos because your high energy is like a 10 shot of espresso. Your talent is amazing. Thanks. You say you can't watch them because I do. I actually had someone last week threaten to unsubscribe if I don't stop talking so fast. Let me just go ahead and I can unsubscribe you all by myself. That was just kind of funny. Thank you so much. You were too sweet. I don't know why your comment just reminded me of that person who threatened to unsubscribe because of my high energy. She said I was like nails on a chalkboard. Oh, whoops. That is really sweet. Thank you guys, all of you who gave the super chat. Like, I really appreciate it. Okay, and then we have a question from Letitia who said, do you have a tutorial dedicated solely for creating backgrounds? I just found ArtGraph water-soluble blocks, and they seem to be a good way to get smooth, dark surface. What do you think? Absolutely. I don't have anything just for the background, but I mean, in all of my videos, I've got the background too. I'm trying to think. I mean, Patreon, obviously, you're going to get the slower videos, and I'm trying to do a bit more graphite for you guys because I have been getting some requests for, like, this one was a Patreon request to do a graphite portrait. But I don't have anything just on the background, but all of the graphite ones have the background that I've done. Look for the water-soluble graphite. That I think is what you're looking for. I have one where I did a bokeh background. It was smaller with flowers, and I think that's here and Patreon. So that one may help you. I did a lot of layering for that. I may have done part of that on the live stream too. That wasn't too long ago, so it should be kind of, I can't think of the name of it though. Let's see. Lauren said, I've had my cat ruin some recent pieces. I wasn't far in, so it didn't matter. Have you had any problems with your pets wrecking a piece beyond fixing it? No, but I think because I'm so paranoid about it. I know how easily that can happen. I've got small dogs though, and I don't have a cat that's jumping on anything. When I have a greyhound whose nose can easily touch my artwork, I'm going to have to take more precautions to cover things so he can't come up and just, put that wet nose all over. I could see that being an issue with a larger breed. Leila in the studio said, where can I get your tiger with fireflies print? I need to decorate my condo this summer and fall. I've got to get photos of that. I keep saying I'm going to, and I keep not doing it, and I need to get a good photo of that. Where is it located right now? It's over there. Okay. Keep bugging me until I get it for you, because I'm more likely to get stuff done if you keep harassing me. Well, not that you're harassing me, but if you keep bugging me about that. I forget. I use the word harass all the time, and when I said it about you, I don't want you to think that I'm saying you're harassing me. I'm really tired and rambling. Let's see. Thanks, PZ Cherokee. Let's see. Thank you, Ellie. Yeah, I'm hoping to get a good night's sleep too. Last night, I felt way better today after last night's sleep. Thanks, Donna. And, oops, I just scrolled by. Letitia again. Thank you again, Letitia. Solar Sun says, thanks, Carrot. Thanks, I should just give up. I can't talk anymore. My brain has stopped. Okay, we're good. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you for your questions. You guys had some really fun, like, different questions than we normally have. So it was kind of fun to answer some different things. Yeah, I'm done. I'm going to bed. I am tired. Actually, I take it back. I'm going to go take my dogs on a walk. Then Chick and I are probably going to play, Chicken and I, see, I can't even say it right, are going to go play Warcraft for a while. I may cheat and have another cup of coffee. I'm so tired. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. I'm probably next week, we'll be working on this again. Just things that are more advanced. This has so much more to go on it. Nick said the nose is one thing on... The nose, talking about the dog. The nose is one thing. The tail, on the other hand, can clear off your desk real fast. Oh, and a greyhound is tall. You are right. I mean, is it cruel to just tie his tail to his leg so he can't knock it off? I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. Totally kidding. Somebody's going to take me seriously. Anyway, I'm done. Thanks again for joining. Oh, and I'm a jerk. Make sure to check out our live stream I can't talk. Make sure to check out our moderators channels. They are linked in the video description. And again, if you can hit like that. I'm done. I can't talk. I'm done. Stuff's in the description. I'll see you guys next week.